Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a special bonus show live here from Manchester Airport. We've been live nearly every day this week, and today we are joined by a very special guest, and as advertised, we're delighted to have with us Pete, the Irish pilot. How you doing, Pete? Thanks
very well, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Thank you for inviting me. It's wonderful.
Great to have you on. Ladies and gents, it is going to be an awesome, awesome show. Pete has had an extensive aviation career in the RAF with Virgin Atlantic, and now he's an internet sensation with his aviation content. So plenty to talk about.
Calm
Obviously,
yourself.
You guys in the chat will have lots of questions, I'm sure, as well.
Very happy.
And,
good morning, everybody.
I have warned Pete, by the way, guys. We are a PG channel. If you are watching with children, we've said, look, it might slip in mine.
I will do my very best. Promise.
You've got the button there as well.
I do have the button. There is a special button just in case.
I hear it.
It's whether I'm quick enough to press it or not is another matter.
What is it, £5 for every time it has to be pressed?
I think so,
yeah. Okay, all right.
Just in time, we are here for the Emirates A380 as well, which has just started its taxi out. And we do have Mr. Matt Smith upstairs. Unfortunately, due to an oversight on my part, we don't have enough audio channels. So Mr. Matt Smith is on mute for today, but I have promised that for the last sort of half an hour, maybe this show will go and swap with him so he can come down and have a chat.
You can hear us, though, can't he?
Apparently, he can hear us. Not the camera. If you can hear us, Matt, I think he can. we'll see. But it's great to have you on. You flew in with British Airways this morning.
Yes, we did. We had a very pleasant little slingshot up. I think we went up to about 230. The pilot flying didn't mention anything about that. Basically, you're up there in the profile of a stone.
Yeah.
But we managed to get a coffee and a wee biscuit in that time to
they
keep them
do quite
warm.
well, don't they, British Airways, in the short time they've got?
They do. And the expensive people at the front must have the meal they're given to them on a bungee. I think if they let go of it, it suddenly goes back into the catering cart. But yes, it was very comfortable. Thanks very much.
Good. And what have you been up to then? Because I saw you was in Ireland as well.
Yeah, we've been doing another little mini tour. Yesterday we found ourselves as the guests of AirNav in southwest Ireland, down at Shannon, looking around their oceanic control centre, which I've spoken to without blowing my own trumpet, God knows how many times, probably into the thousands over the years, pounding across the Atlantic. But I'd never either seen the facility or, more importantly, been there. But yesterday I had the opportunity to actually go in, see it, and sit with the folk that do the job, and it was absolutely wonderful. But strangely enough, you look out the window and there are Frisian cattle in the fields. It's in a very rural setting. It's bizarre, neatly camouflaged by Mother Nature.
That's right, because they are moving towards a lot more of a digital solution now with ATC, and I wonder how long it's going to be before we don't really have many ATC towers at airports that are actually, with big windows looking out onto the airfield. A lot of it's on screens now, isn't it?
It is, and actually, the facility that we were at yesterday, you can't even see it behind the trees. It's a single-storey building, and the windows are purely for the operators to be able to see outside rather than feel they're locked in under the stairs.
Yeah, no, it's interesting the way things are going. It's and even things like Heathrow with the robotic pushback equipment and stuff now. It's definitely a more modern age, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and I think the bit that I've found difficult, and I'm not completely there with it yet, is remote towers, London City.
Yeah.
That you don't actually have a controller there, but it's somebody at Swanwick on a facility broadly similar to yourselves here, just looking at TV screens.
Crazy, isn't it? And there's word going around that they're actually looking at trialling 320 Neos into London City coming soon as well.
I'd heard that.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, they've done it before, haven't they? They've at least, the door is slightly ajar on the 318, so maybe a little bit of modification to the software and the flight control laws, because they had to change the flare on the 318 to a two-stage flare to get it in. But hey, look, they put that big Embraer in recently, and I think that's a pathfinder. That was a big coup for them, and I think Airbus will want to get in there and try and match
Correct me
that.
if I'm wrong, I didn't believe the 320 had the steep approach functionality in the... Because isn't there a button on the overhead for
there is,
approach?
and let me be clear about something. There are many areas that I am not familiar with, and I will have to put my hand up and say, hey, listen, I don't know about that particular thing, but I know where I can find out. There's definitely the qualification, the training, and the course to do the steep approaches. I think it's 7-degree glide path into the city. But the flight control laws were changed on the 318 such that I think the whole drag of the airplane, so they managed to get the speed right down on that very steep approach, because that's your problem, to kill the energy whenever you're coming into the flare. And now I think they'll be trying to do something broadly similar with the Neo. And look, how far are we on? Are we 15, 20 years on more from a 318? So I'm sure Toulouse are all over it. Yeah,
I'll be looking forward to seeing what happens. And there are a few streamers down there, sort of SDTV, who constantly cover London City, so I'll be keeping an eye on those guys.
Absolutely, they will.
To see what happens.
Yep.
So Andy picked you up this morning. I believe you had a good chat in the car as well.
Yes, we were chauffeured over here beautifully. I talk too much.
He does have the nicest car, so we sent Andy.
Well, it was very nice. And a nice warm northern welcome, and even the weather was like that too. So I looked at the TAF, and really it's pretty respectable. That would be a brilliant day in Ireland if you got a TAF like that.
Yeah, it's we've been quite lucky, I think, for this week. It's kind of pretty much just overcast with spells of sunshine for the whole week. So
you've all recovered from Floris?
Yes, we're just about dried out. Well, I suppose Andy has, really. He was the cameraman out on that one.
Monday was gnarly, that wasn't it? How quick the weather cells were blowing through. It'd be heavy rain and then sunshine, and couldn't make its mind up.
No,
but it was crazy.
How many go-arounds did you have?
Just 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't many. It wasn't that busty, was it? It was like...
It was pretty much straight down the strip, wasn't it?
At times, yeah. But later on, it did kind of angle off maybe 45 degree.
Okay.
And here at Manchester Airport, you can see on one side you've got the terminal buildings. On the other side, you kind of got nothing.
Yeah.
So when the wind hits that, I don't know if you're aware of things like mechanical turbulence, when churned up by the terminal buildings. So, and we had that kind of angle on Monday. So you're like, you know what, this could be quite entertaining, you know. And there we had some,
I saw a Scandinavian minibus do an interesting approach. He did eventually go around, I think I'm right in saying. Is
possibly,
that yeah.
There was a Jet 273 that came down and decided to have another go as well. Quite spectacular.
Yeah. Well, I was watching at Leeds, and there was a Jet 2 aeroplane. I actually blurted out that, there he is, he's going around, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, no, he's landing. I mean, those boys at Leeds are well used to it. It's their home base there, and Leeds is never easy, is it, on a hill perpendicular to the prevailing wind? But that was something else.
Usually if we're getting diverts in weather, Leeds is the first to send them, I think. Just because, like you say, the position at the airport, it's a very short runway as well, with a bit of a nasty slope on it.
And sitting with the elevation that it has, if the cloud is in any way low, you're suddenly into right down at Cat 1 margins. It's an interesting place, and certainly I think it's an old wartime airfield. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because nobody in their right mind, forgive me if I'm being rude to airport planners, but nobody would plan a runway 90 degrees to the prevailing wind, if you know anything about how to fly an airplane.
It's not the best planning, is it?
No,
really?
Not really.
So to kind of let everybody know a bit about Pete, who's joining us today. If you've not come across his social media content, you were Belfast born.
I was indeed, yes.
And inspired into aviation with your trips to Aldergrove, I believe.
Yes. It was my 4th birthday. It was during a time where there was a lot of trouble in Northern Ireland. Some of your viewers may remember it. And it meant that there wasn't an awful lot to do, to be honest. But I can't remember what I had for my breakfast necessarily today, but I can remember back all those years to my 4th birthday, to a very small Belfast Aldergrove airport, and smelling the burnt kerosene and seeing these jets ignited something, pardon the pun, in my brain that said, this is what you need to be doing. Yeah. And I confess it never went away. And I've been very, very lucky. In fact, how much more lucky could you wish to be than good health and being able to have a happy family I hope they're happy, and being able to fly around the place, first of all in the Air Force and then commercially, and that's where it all started. But I had to plough my own furrow, but that's a separate story. Right now there's lots of opportunities which maybe we'll come on to in due course, but I'd heartily recommend anybody right now that if they're interested in getting into flying, lots of cadetships and sponsorships to get you in there, and it's a job, if you're interested in flying, that you should grab it with both hands.
And that's one of your main sort of talking points for your social media content, isn't it? To try and inspire people into aviation, try and get people to consider flying as a career?
Yes, it is. And I appreciate that times are tough. They're tough for everybody, but the financial constraints are just getting worse by the day, and people quite rightly say learning to fly is very expensive. That is true as well. However, there's always an alternative, and you could start with just buying an airband radio and listening to airplanes. You can get Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can maybe ask Father Christmas or a relative for a significant event, a birthday or whatever, for an experience in one of the many simulators that are around the country, which were never there in my day. And then you could maybe consider gliding, which many of my colleagues, both in military flying and commercial flying, started. They cut their teeth in flying through gliding, which is a fraction of the price of powered flying. And in many respects, the purest glider pilot will, I think, back me up on this, that it teaches you stick and rudder skills that are even better taught, dare I say, than powered flying. And if you can master flying a glider, then you are well on your way to being able to fly well and achieve your desired qualification, be it a PPL or a commercial license. And then ultimately, if you really want to make it your profession, you can apply for part sponsorship or cadetship, MPLs through a number of airlines, which if you want, we got time later on, maybe we can talk about that. But there's lots of opportunities, and I think what's probably lacking at the moment is an awareness, and I'm just trying to get the word out, not only here in UK and Ireland, but across Europe and the world. You know, I can't say that I know every detail about every country, but we can try and help people.
Yeah, I know recently both TUI and I think British Airways have offered scholarship programs.
Yeah, they are, and Jet2 have a scheme.
Virgin as well, briefly as well. So there's loads.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. The competition, I've got to say, is understandably horrendous. But look, if you want to do it, all the rest is fluff. Push them out of the way. You're the number one person, boy or girl, and I stress that girls must not think, and I hope I'm not producing any sort of political choppy water here, but girls must realise that this is equal opportunities, and in my experience, female pilots are in many respects as equal or at times better than the blokes, and they should not consider themselves to be anything other than equal, and therefore should apply to, but get the word out there. And that applies to private flying and gliding and everything else. But yeah, the British Airways scheme, I think, has been open last year and this year for only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think in 2024 they extended it by a week because it was so oversubscribed. And it's a lengthy process, but with the right preparation and the right mentoring and training, there's lots of different sources of material and content out there to help with this. Some people make it their business to help folk doing it. That it is a very real possibility, and one day you might be rolling down a runway in the right-hand seat and ultimately the left of one of those babies. It's actually not a baby, it's a monster, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely the highlight of our shows here at Manchester. We've recently, there's recently been some development work on the apron that has added some more double jetway, double airbridge jetways on the apron. So we are keeping our fingers crossed that that might bring maybe another one or two
right
A380s in. But
well, they've got enough of them to be able to do it, haven't they?
They have, and we're kind of hoping for maybe some other companies to look at it as well. But we can only hope, I think. Somebody
contacted me earlier on today saying that they had a relative coming in on a 380, so I think we're going to see one later on.
That's right. So
closer to midday.
Usually midday is when we see the arrival.
You get 2 a day, do you, or 3?
Three.
Three.
So we get Emirates flight 21 comes in the morning.
Yeah.
17 in midday, and then 19 in the evening. So it'll be 17 that we'll see arriving today.
Right.
And there it is. Yeah. Well on the way to us, arriving in 1 hour 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's quite a machine, isn't it? And I must say, I don't know what your viewers and your listeners think, but 380 is quite a machine to travel on, whether you're upstairs, downstairs, front or back. It just feels unsurprisingly rather roomy, doesn't it?
It does, and from what I've heard from pilots as well, it's extremely agile. It handles like a 320, we've been told. It's very clever what they've done. Obviously, they've got those huge control surfaces on the aircraft anyway.
Yeah.
But you just think the sheer weight and stuff of the aircraft would make it quite sluggish, but apparently not. But I think one of the things we've spoke about a few times on the show as well is how the A380 was kind of pushed out as the fuel-hungry big brother to the 747, and not really taken up in the same spirit as the 747 was, and kind of came to the aviation scene probably a bit too late as well. But we're kind of wondering whether that's kind of reversing slightly these days, as obviously the air's getting busier. They want to get more people in the air at the same time. Surely an option like a 380 aircraft, which can get much more passengers, is a good option. And
yes, arguably so. However, you've touched on, I think, part of the answer to the question, and that is infrastructure.
Yeah.
You're hoping here to get another double air bridge set up at the gate. There are, when you look at the total global number of airports, very few that can actually accept an A380, which is part and parcel of the problem of operating it, that you can't just lob into somewhere if you have an issue. It's got to be A380 compatible, and that's not only exactly. So it's a very, very costly proposition. Not only, let's just say you want to operate a 380. Well, hang on a second, where are we going to do that from? And have they got the wherewithal to handle it? And where are we going to run it to? And if we've got some problems, where do we? It's complex. It's not like flying a triple or a 78 or a 350. It's very involved, but it's great to see them back. And where we thought aeroplanes were gone, and thankfully they didn't cut them up.
Yeah,
I did see a picture this morning of a Korean one in pieces.
Oh God.
Which was very sad. But those that were left intact, isn't it great that people have said, we need to get these things back out?
It is, and it's what's strange is we're kind of seeing some weird things happening in aviation with regards to stuff like that, because Egypt are scrapping or stripping down one of their 220s as they're worth more in parts than they are operational, which is just wild. Like, the aircraft's 5 years old?
Yes.
Not old at all.
We were recently invited to a facility over on, if you think Ireland wild, this was on the wild west coast, and at Knock, and there's a company there whose stock and trade is to part out and dismantle and cut up aeroplanes into whatever they're recycled. And that is exactly what they were saying, that there were some very new Airbuses there, which it was sad to see jets that were not very long ago pounding around the skies of Europe, and now they're being broken up, and the value of a box or a few screws or a flange or a strake or some other thing is actually worth more sitting there to be sold as a second-hand part.
Yeah, I think a lot of it
the airplanes
comes from the Pratt & Whitney engine trouble, I think, with the 220s. It's had such a knock-on effect that it's very awkward for them at the minute, isn't it? But it is interesting to see.
They are very robust out at Knock, because we were nearly blown away in the wind, but they didn't budge an inch. It was horizontal rain, and man, it would make this look like a tropical beach.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was.
Should have seen us on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Knock Airport is that it's almost like you're going back to picture postcard, the little white stone cottage, where, relatively speaking, a few decades ago, maybe they only got full plumbed in water and so forth. It's really out in the wilds, drumlins and not even proper walls dividing up the sheep and one thing and another. And in the middle of this is this airport that Father Ted equivalent built all those years ago that Ryanair is flying to all places from. And as I say, this recycling plant is there, and it goes about its business quietly, but it's very, very lucrative.
I bet. We were fortunate enough a couple of months ago to work with a company that was stripping or involved in stripping down some of the Jet 2 757s that were retired. And we managed to get hold of some overhead panels, the passenger information panel, and we retrofitted it in our office with LEDs so that they lit back up again. And they
wasn't
were very
the 757, that is... words fail me almost. Yeah. There's that in the TriStar. The 75, from the day I saw it, I always remember very, very quickly, I mitched off lectures at university to drive up to Belfast to see the first one come in on the shuttle. And I remember listening on the airband radio and them saying, it was Shuttle 4 Whiskey or something, welcome to Belfast, I hope you'll be coming here for decades. And it was a fantastic servant. And I looked at it and I thought, like a knee-type Jag or something like that, that has got a perfect balance of lines. It looks cool, both on the ground and in the air. It's got ramp presence. And the power, so much power off those RB211s. Yeah. What a jet.
We have a chap on called Mark, who's an Airbus pilot here at Manchester. And he flew the 757 for a number of years, and he absolutely adored it.
Yeah,
he's working on the 21 Neos periodically now, and it just doesn't
really.
Do you think Boeing have missed out there in not keeping them going and modernising them?
Perhaps so. There was talk there, was there not, some chatter on the internet about maybe with the press, the negative narrative that was flying around, pardon the pun, about the 73 MAX, that they might look to maybe do something with what would be a 2020s version of a 757. But I think the problem will be that they'll have got rid of all the jigs, and it's all composite material now.
Yeah.
And
they'd be designing a whole new aircraft from scratch.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a section for that to slot into.
Yeah.
Just
there's
using the same
mid-range aeroplane gap.
There is, absolutely. And I think that's why we're seeing so much uptake on the 21 Neo. Yeah. Because it's just filling that gap with the LR edition as well, doing Transatlantic here at Manchester.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're just popping up everywhere. There's all the companies that were just massive Boeing fleets are now just investing heavily into Airbus because of this A321. I mean, we've seen it here with Jet 2.
Yeah, and... who have traditionally been fans of Boeing, haven't they?
Yeah.
What do you both feel about the idea of maybe going across the Atlantic? We're all pretty familiar about going to the Canaries, the Balearics, or somewhere into Europe, perhaps on a 321. But what about the idea of boarding an airplane here in Manchester? And I think Aer Lingus go as far from Dublin to Tennessee, something, or Nashville. They go a long way on a single aisle. Now, I've not done it. People are doing it on Jet 2 out of JetBlue rather, out of Heathrow, and they say the product is good. What do you think, Andy?
You've been on it,
I've been on that. Yeah,
have you?
Yeah, I did Gatwick to JFK. I did on JetBlue A321 Neo.
Oh, great!
It's fine. Yeah,
was it
really nice? Yeah, it was. It's not as spacious as you'd imagine, but the way they build it, they have the very nice, spacious, seating and recline, and once you're in your own little zone, you got your screen and your tray table. You kind of feel like you're on.
This was the standard economy seat, not a.
Yeah, it's just economy. Yeah, they have the I believe it's called the Mint Suite. They call it, which is their kind of like lie flat beds on an A321, which is kind of a strange concept.
You think that the space would be so limited?
You would like lying on a lollipop stick or something.
Because it's not like the 350 and the 380.
No, we got like big cubicles you can sit in. Yeah, this is
the
more
apartments.
Like open plan kind of business. It's very strange. Like there's no kind of dividers or anything. then again, it had such good like mood lighting. It was so modern. It was quiet. I've heard hit and miss reviews from pilots about the A321neo. I've heard concerning like the the power of it and stuff, and
really?
some of the the extra sort of SOPs that may come along with it. But in general, it was a really nice flight.
And I wonder how, touch on the pilot side of things, how the crew rest situation would be on those sort of longer flights as well, because there's no space for it.
No, there won't. And the flight time limitations would allow you quite easily to do those eastern seaboard trips, because even on the wide body we would do it with 2 pilots. Even though the 340 had got crew rest, you wouldn't be in there,
right?
Or if you were in there, that would be the last time you'd be in it. Yeah.
Sun Express just crossing over, heading out to Dalaman. Ryanair pushback for Riga. And to touch on a bit of your earlier aviation career, and we will come to the chat very, very shortly as well. Well, actually, before I touch on that, let's read some names out, because I'm conscious we haven't really said hello to many people yet. So we've got moderator Tell, Tom and Anne in the chat. Miss Wolves, good to see you. We've got Tessa, Dalek, Venkman, Keith, Paula, Jeff. Welcome in, guys. And over on the Twitch channel, we've got 2Ks as well tuning in. Sanchez back on top, although you were the second message in the chat there, mate, so you need to get in here just a little bit earlier there, pal. And Riven, good to see you as well. Welcome in, everybody. So we are joined by Pete, the Irish pilot. I'm sure many of you people watching will have come across his social media content, so if you have got any questions, feel free to get them in the chat, and we'll try and pick some up as well. Downstairs today, myself, Martin, and Andy are downstairs. Matt Smith is upstairs. Apologies, folks, we don't have enough channels on our mixer to bring his audio in, so we will swap with him towards the end of the show, so he can come down and have a chat with Pete as well. But it's going to be a good show. We're looking forward to it. We had a few emails back and forth arranging today as well. We've kind of been looking forward to it all week, haven't we? It's been a good bonus show. So this is an off schedule show for us today. But
and this is your first time at Manchester Airport as a plane spotter, I suppose. You said.
Absolutely, it is. I've been through. I first came here actually back in 1980 when I was doing my flying scholarship. I'd finished it and I was, like a pain. I was hanging around Woodgate Aviation at Belfast, just sweeping hangar floors and just helping one thing and another. And a good friend of mine asked, I've got to take a guy tomorrow to Manchester. It's coming up very quickly. He was a concert pianist, would you believe?
Okay.
He had to get to Manchester quickly. I don't understand why, other than somebody obviously fancied hearing the piano at a high level. Pardon the pun. And we jumped in a Piper Cherokee and we flew over here. Now that was like a spider landing on a dinner table, because coming in here into Manchester International Airport blew my mind. And I remember very clearly the 707s, the British Airways were operating across to Kennedy, and yeah, it was marvellous. And that was the only time I'd been. And then about 20 years ago, I had to come up and visit some people. I came through as a passenger, never been outside the front door. So yeah, great. And certainly this facility here, if I can honestly say, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, boys and girls, everybody listening, if you've not been to this viewing point here at Manchester, it is quite unbelievable. I never expected I was coming to this, to be quite honest with you. And I heartily recommend you get here if you possibly can, be it during your holidays or if you live in the local area, or indeed you live further afield and you want to make the journey. It's great. But bring a coat with you, because I think you might need it. Yeah. But there's a great coffee shop who will provide you with all the warmth and hospitality you need from the fare side of things.
I did quickly make a diversion this morning where we went through the Concorde hangar.
Oh,
okay,
yes.
Yeah, nice.
The doors are open at the moment, and it's pretty cool, isn't it?
That's another sensation. If anybody has never seen Concorde before, or you're a Concorde aficionado, this is a must see. Absolutely, this is a premium deluxe class, top drawer viewing, and hopefully before I depart from here today, I might be able to get a bit of a look around. We'll see how we get on.
We'll see if you have a chat with the guys on reception, see if you can get on there. But it's there's a very interesting story about how that Concorde came to be here at Manchester as well, which is sold by Peter, who was the chap I was telling you about. And we'll dig that out and send it to you, because it's a very interesting read. It's a really good story, and it's a story he's told on the streams as well when we had him on.
Really?
So,
because it must have been a huge demand from people.
Well, they had to bid for them. They had to bid for the ones they wanted.
Right.
So they had to go and do a presentation about why they wanted a Concorde at Manchester and how it could be used. And the long and short of the story is he got a phone call, and they basically asked him, which one would you like?
Wow.
He was the first,
and
he said, well, the flagship Alpha Charlie, and
wow,
here it is.
Yeah, because that's the one, isn't it, Alpha Charlie to have?
It is, yeah.
Because there's that one sitting on the floating pontoon in the Hudson in New York, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Which, to be honest, I've only seen from a distance, but I saw it being carted off recently to get a bit of TLC. Did you see that?
We heard the one at Heathrow was being used to store old magazines inside at one point, which was a bit of a travesty.
So really?
I don't know. I mean, that's just what we've heard.
It's been a bit neglected, that Heathrow Concorde, hasn't it?
Well, they dragged it out there recently, didn't they, for some occasion? Was it British Airways families or employees' day or something? I saw it was moved.
It was moved, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but to think it's full of country life or something is, or a high life, is that what they
I've no idea.
Yeah, they don't have that anymore, do they? High life. Yeah.
Mrs. Airline is live in the chat. How are you doing? Good morning. Hope the dog's behaving. Took the dog out for a walk this morning just before we went live. Trying to remember all of the things I read last night about yourself and just make sure that I knew what I was talking about.
I hope they're true.
I hope so as well. I'm about to read them out. But there it is. There's Concorde in the hangar, looking splendid as always.
It's beautiful. Been so well preserved. There's a group of people called Heritage Concorde who look after that one. They also do the one down in Duxford. Have you ever been to that? The War Museum there.
Yes.
And honestly, they do a stellar job. That Concorde, it's pristine. It's incredible, and all the electronics work. You know, you got all the lights, and you got the flight deck, and all the instruments still lights up, and it makes noises and things. And as you said, the nose still works as well. It's
getting hydraulics online. They were getting the cockpit lighting on, which was great. They were looking at, I think, some of the exterior LEDs at the aircraft as well.
It's an ongoing effort as well.
So they're constantly just trying to do as much as they can to get that Concorde in the best shape. And as we say, obviously now the nose is operational, which is great to see. We were involved when they finished that and did a stream, and it was great. It's really good to see it.
Wouldn't it have been amazing if the horses bolted now, but like they have the Vulcan and the Victor and the Lightning that do those? Is it Bruntingford? The place in the Midlands where there's an old runway that they fire them up and they do sort of a mock takeoff, and then they deploy the chute. People would have loved to have seen a Concorde taxiing around. Problem is, of course, that's like setting fire to piles and piles of cash, isn't it? Which in this day and age we simply don't have. Talking of cash, look at that machine.
I was just about to say, I think...
is this your wife coming to collect you?
She's a bit early, but she can wait in the cafe, I think. This is... you wouldn't mind one of these, would you?
Oh, it's a
beautiful piece of kit.
That's a cool machine.
It is.
Do you have the data on where
it's not giving me any data for that one.
No,
but,
there's a friend of mine has been a corporate pilot. We did our examinations at Bournemouth many moons ago, and he's been a long-time guy in corporate aviation, and he's right at the top of his game, and he flies a Global Express, and he tells me that not always will the data of ownership and various bits and pieces that you would get ordinarily be displayed even on a DSB or through flight radar.
Usually
the owner
like banks and stuff that show
the
us
owner can elect to mask that, so that could be. But that is a big baby. What's that, a 650?
Again, I'm not gonna. Honestly, so when we were talking before about the things we're not too sure about, business metal for me is
that's
one
Spanish, isn't it? ECMUS.
But what I love about the Gulfstreams is just the huge wings, obviously giving them the capacity to fly nice and high.
Massive.
They just look incredible, so classy, don't they?
I mean, we were talking yesterday at Shamwick about this, that, you know, when I've previously been flying across the Atlantic, like all the other pilots that are listening or watching, these things are flying faster and higher over the top of those Atlantic tracks. And to fly in the Atlantic tracks, you need a certain amount of equipment. And when you're not in that band, you don't need the equipment. So some smarty was saying, oh, I don't need such and such equipment in my Gulfstream because I'm going to be at 46 or 48,000 feet above that band. Problem is, you need to get through the band to get up there, and you need the kit. So that idea didn't fly too far. But that's a beautiful machine.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I think, unfortunately for us, I believe Gulfstream keep those aircraft quite close to the chest, because even in the flight sim community, there's never been a high fidelity model created of one of those, because they just don't provide the information.
Right.
So it's something that a lot of people would love to see in the flight sim, but I don't think it will ever.
Are these regular visitors here? Do you get a lot of corporate here?
We're very fortunate at Manchester to have a great variation. Yeah,
do you?
There's a private terminal around the corner there.
Right.
That we see all sorts of Cessna Citations, Phenoms. There's a company there, Silver Aviation, that operate PC-12s, PC-24.
Oh, they're great machines.
So,
and there's a rather interesting 767 the other side of that green revetment.
There is at the moment. That was rumoured to be going out yesterday, but didn't materialise.
Yeah, it's going out Friday now, of course.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. On Matt's show.
Oh, really?
So there's a running thing on this channel that everything happens on a Friday.
Oh,
which is when Matt's got his show. So Matt started off as a viewer of ours, believe it or not, in the chat all those years ago. As you know from speaking to him, very positive, great attitude, and always in the chat, always welcoming people into the community.
Yeah.
He became a moderator, and then what we like to do on the channel is really try and push the boundaries of what's possible with live aviation content.
Yep.
And we thought, I wonder if we can do a remote camera. I wonder if we can send Matt somewhere. He beams it up to the sky. It comes down to us here, and we mix it into the show. And we managed to get it working, and it was possible. So Matt started doing remote cam with us. We had him on a phone call that connects to this, so he could be involved in the show.
Yeah.
And he's either looking over the apron watching the pushbacks, or he's down at the airport pub down the end getting another angle, and we mix it in with this angle here. And everyone loved him. So he's like, well, you want to do your own show on? And he's started doing Fridays, and I don't think he's hardly missed a Friday since he started, has he?
And are you still doing the remote coverage?
Absolutely, yeah. So every Sunday, where possible, Matt is somewhere around the airport, and we're here doing this, and we're mixing him in. Yeah, so
brilliant.
It's really good, and especially with an airport like Manchester as well. The offset second runway, it just gives us a great second view, and even things like, say, the pushback operations, sort of highlighting all the work the ground crew do. It's just really good, and it means we can follow an aircraft either all the way in onto stand or all the way from stand out to departure, which is really good fun.
Brilliant. And you mentioned there, I know I'm the clues in the name from the piloting side, but I think it's only right that the engineers get a shout as well, because without the engineers, none of this would happen. You know, there's the euphemistic saying, because we like to rib them, you know, give an engineer an aeroplane and they'll break it. That's fine, but actually they do great work, and they do it 24/7, and they do it in the most horrific weather. And I think it's only right that they get a bit of a shout out too, because I hold them in very high esteem. They managed to get their heads around all that stuff in there that I have it's a black box to me, and it's not working. Please, will you fix it?
And it's crazy how, and we'll kind of come on to your later career as well, but you transitioned all the way up to the Dreamliner towards the end of your Atlantic, and the training captain as well.
Yes.
So you must have had a good understanding of everything in there and all the systems. But I can imagine that's a world away from a Tornado GR1.
Oh yeah, yes. There's no question of that. But I got away with it. We'll say. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So
undetected crime.
Looking back then, so you got your PPL in 1980, I believe.
1980, that's right. Yes.
And then you moved on to I'd say you got a bit of an upgrade to the RAF flying the Tornado, but not in the sort of standard capacity you'd expect, in more of a reconnaissance capacity, which is really interesting.
Yes. And it was a little bit different. I ended up flying on 13 Squadron at Huntington in Suffolk, where I think really largely to do with a change in military tactics and technology. The Gulf War required a lot of information to be gathered, and sometimes the traditional assets, shall we say, cannot do it, and ultimately you've got to get something over the top of it or by the side of it, going in harm's way to do it, and that's how the Reconnaissance Tornado was born. It came out of the GR1, which, unlike the F3, the air defense variant, was a slightly more pointy jet, but still out of the same platform. GR1, different nose, different ground mapping radar in it, and
they replaced the cannon, didn't they?
They also had
pod.
twin Aden cannons. That's right, and they took those out to put the reconnaissance kit in, and that made the GR1A. And so we were actually recce attack. We could still have the other stuff on the pylons and on the shoulders that the other GRs and indeed the F3 had. But we also had the cameras for the video kit, and it made for a really interesting job. I loved it.
So you were primarily looking for Scud missile sites in
and the sensors were able to find stuff. It's all infrared, so we demonstrated a capability, and we were up in Scandinavia, and some Harriers had told us, "Nah, you can't find us," and they had hidden in some trees in Denmark, and sure enough we flew past and found them because the engines had just shut down and they're radiating loads of heat, and that was the basis for it. And over time now that has been superseded into, you've got these really capable drones. There's kit on the American assets that is second to none, really. And indeed it seems the future is drones and space-based stuff. A lot of standoff, because you don't want to get into the middle of some nasty business.
You probably don't want to get to the point where you've got aircraft flying low over.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Places that you don't really want to be.
Yeah, the more you can ascertain by going nowhere near it, the better.
And what do you believe the advantage is of that? Because when I was reading into that yesterday, I found it really interesting that reconnaissance would be on a fast jet like a Tornado, and not something that was maybe a bit higher altitude, maybe a bit slower. In terms of the time you've got to actually find things as you're flying so low, obviously, as well. How was that managed?
Well, we actually had to be able to, every day at work, we would start with a MET brief and a reconnaissance test, and these would be slides of a piece of foreign equipment, shall we say, and it wouldn't be a beautiful 4K picture taken in glorious Technicolor. It would be some grainy black and white thing taken by somebody somewhere through a hedge, and it would come up. It's a bit like target practice at a fair. It would come up 3 seconds and down. Okay, what was it? Well, you just don't say it was a tank. They need to know what type of tank it was. So we actually had to spend hours and hours and hours with slides learning this stuff, because if the kit on the airplane failed, we had to be able to give what we call a VisRep, a visual report, and it had all sorts of categories to it and detail, and that was from electronics to bridges to airplanes to power stations, all sorts of things. And so that was the redundancy built into it. Why did you put yourself in harm's way? Well, sometimes there are angles on things that a slower, further away asset cannot see. And there are quirks to facilities that if you want to stop them working, it's not always obvious which bit you need to the average man or lady on the street. It's not obvious which bit you need to take out of operation, and sometimes that required a bit of a sneak round a corner and have a look at what's there, which you couldn't see from the sky above.
Have a closer look. Just to let you know, Smithy, if you can hear us as well, apparently Arek is on the BA shuttle heading down to Heathrow, so we'll track that one out. One of our friendly streamers over on the south side looks like he's heading off down to London on this aircraft. But I find that really interesting, like say the whole kind of situation there, and how you get to a position where you're flying tornadoes through Iraq looking for things like that. That's just a world away from, like you say, how they do things today, isn't it? And I guess with doing it that way, with the new equipment on board as well, you're just getting a much better view than necessarily you would do. And
yes, at the time, I'm not familiar because I've been out of it since the middle 90s, but at the time we had two lenses mounted on the sides of the aircraft called sideways looking infrared, the slurs, but we also had on the belly of the camera a horizon to horizon camera. So when the really nifty photo interpreters brought this all together, you had a run down a railway line or down a road or whatever it may be, but you were not only seeing the facility in front of you, but you were seeing a way out to the horizon on both sides. So you were covering an enormous amount of ground in very short time in great detail. And as you've said, back in that military campaign, some pretty groundbreaking, pardon the pun, stuff was found by a colleague of mine who's sadly not with us anymore, where people said it doesn't exist. He found it. And even people on the ground who are very good at what they do couldn't find them, but he found them, and funny enough, he found them in the dead of the night.
Well,
yeah,
that must be another complete like that would flip it on its head, trying to do that at night as well.
Yes, it was interesting, and the thing about that role at the time was that rather than going around in large formations like you've seen in the Second World War, waves of bombers and stuff, we were very much maybe a pair, but a lot of the time just by ourselves.
Wow. Just
disappearing off and doing stuff, and it made it really interesting. Stuff would be, you'd be tasked to do things that that you wouldn't normally get, and that doesn't mean that it was anything particularly sneaky beaky about it. It was just interesting. Sometimes one particular thing, an incident happened up in Islay. I was up operating with a navy, with a frigate off the Western Isles, and a message came through, can you nip over to Islay and get us some imagery as to what's happened there? And if people are listening, they might put two and two together, but I don't want to end up in the Tower of London, so I'm not going to say any more, but there's your clue. And we were the people to get the first pictures of that. And you think, oh, wow. When you look back on it, you think, wow. To me at the time, it was just another trip, but it was good fun. We did refueling off the back of a VC-10, a Victor and a KC-10. Oh, it was all manner of things. It was great. But I don't know what the Air Force is like now. I would imagine I wouldn't recognise it. Yeah,
I bet it's a world away. I mean, just to touch on, it seems like in the chat that Arek's heading down there for a funeral for his grandfather. So I'm sorry to hear that, mate. I hope everything goes well, and thank you, chat, for getting some hearts in there for him as well. Arek and his family heading down there, so we'll touch base with him as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving into sort of modern military stuff, you're looking at TGPs that are just, the pods that are. They'll spin and they'll move around, and you can zoom into targets miles and miles away, and you can designate them like eight targets all designated, and you can just drop bombs and they'll just
isn't it just like Fortnite or one of these games? I don't know anything, but it's a bit like that, isn't it? Wild. But it's coming to reality.
I mean, you see, like the Apaches will literally have a dome underneath the bottom of them. They'll hide behind a hill, they'll lift up. It will scan the battlefield. It will find all the targets. It will prioritize the targets based on what it sees. They'll drop down. It will allocate the targets. They'll pop back up. Bang, 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 bang. Ripple fire missiles, and then they'll just drop back down, and it'll just handle the rest itself. Which is just wild.
And now the squadron that I was on, 13 Squadron, is now a drone squadron. So those
is it?
Yeah, those are operated remotely.
Yeah.
So the whole if you'd said that to me in the 90s, these are going to be replaced by drones, I would have told you to get your head examined. But actually, I'm the one that needed my head examined because I wasn't keeping in pace with the future. But yeah, I think cyber everything, isn't it? Even in our daily lives, cyber is a problem, isn't it? And it's where it's going to be conducted, good or bad.
Yeah. And like Martin said, drones as well are just becoming like such a prevalent things these days. Why risk someone's life when you can just send an unmanned aerial vehicle out? And
do you have a problem with them here at the airport?
Not here, no. To be honest, like all the issues that have kind of happened at certain airports, whether it's like protests or drones, we've kind of avoided them here at Manchester. We feel a bit disconnected, but I know, like, wasn't it Dublin a couple of years ago, from memory? Gatwick as well.
Gatwick got messed about with for a few days, isn't it?
We've never had issues here. I mean, you got a place like this where you got, loads of places where people can plane spot from as well. It's really well embraced here as well.
Yeah.
I know Dublin's quite good as well, but Gatwick, for example, you should put a camera. You might get. I've heard of people getting police stopping and asking what you're doing. Why you stood here with a camera?
I asked the question about the drones because right in front of us is this sign which the viewers may or may not see, but no ball games, frisbees, or kites.
Yes.
And I was expecting to see, by the way, no drones here for obvious reasons, but some people need to be told, and many other airports, and you've mentioned some of them there already, say no drones, but clearly there's not felt to be such a pressing urgency to put that up here.
I mean, I'm sure there's probably some somewhere, but I've not seen them whilst we've been wandering.
I hope I'm not tempting fate, gentlemen.
I was going to say, well, but there was a question in the chat which I was just going to move on to as well. You spent, I believe, 16 years in the RAF, give or take. Towards the end of your time with the RAF, you actually you posted to the Middle East for a couple of years.
I was loaned out to British Aerospace to teach the Royal Saudi Air Force to fly their Tornadoes. So I was doing what would have in the RAF been the GR1 job as well as the GR1A job, both in the front and the back seat, by day and night. And actually the Saudi Air Force jets were capable or had a release to service to do a lot of things that the RAF ones hadn't. So when I went there, where you think, oh well, I've got all the ticks on this. I'm not saying a master of it, but I've certainly seen all the things. Oh no, not at all. Like the RF-3 air defense Tornado was cleared to refuel in the air off a Hercules because of the Falklands. That was our tanker down there, but not a GR. Well, Saudi Arabia, you're going to do it behind a Hercules, and that was new to me. Also tanking off a thing called a KE3, which to folk who might remember a 707, it's a piece of hose that's not very long with an absolutely solid cast aluminium basket, which, to be honest, ended up being a de facto sledgehammer because the RAF baskets were flexible. They had about 147 nuts and bolts on them, and they were a mesh. They could collapse, and they took a fair bit of abuse. Well, if one of these Saudi things hit you, it was going to do damage. AOA probes, bent pitot probes, all sorts. So yes, I had 2.5 years out there. That was very interesting. I saw all sorts. And I decided that at the end of my 16 years with the Air Force, that's enough now. Time for somebody else to do this. Because to be perfectly honest with you, nobody wants some old duffer sitting in the corner saying, oh, in my day we did it this way. They don't want to hear that. They want the young cubs there, and it's time to move on. Get out of the seat and let somebody else do it. Probably bigger and better than you, certainly in my case. And off I went to commercial flying.
How did that transition happen? How did you... Was it a decision that you made, or was it something that became available to you?
I had come to the end of my 16 years in the service, and to be honest with you, flying, as I think should be obvious to everybody, is all I hankered after. I did not want to fly a mahogany bomber, which promotion in the RAF brings. You inevitably will end up in an office job at a headquarters or an MOD main building. I'd rather, eat my arm than do that. and everybody would hate me being in the building as well. So I decided that we need to get out of this, and I returned to UK. And it's at that point, in that era, where the CAA say, well, that's great, Mr. Hutchison, thanks very much. You've got all your RAF hours and the rest of it, but you haven't got a commercial exam to your name. Your PPL exams count for nothing. So I had to go and invest in an ATPL course at what was then PPSC at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And, well, it's about as interesting as watching paint dry, to be perfectly honest. We were doing stuff there that was way out of date, but there's no point in pushing against the system. You've just got to do it. 75% pass mark. Pay for the course, pay for the exams, get it done, and get it over with. And then pay another, what was it then, 10,000 odd quid to go and get an instrument rating. So I had to quickly learn how to fly a twin-engine piston aeroplane, which I did down at Airways Flight Training, as it was called at the time, in Exeter. And then armed with an ATPL and an instrument rating. You can't use an ATPL until you have Performance A.
Okay.
And so that really now that's seriously way out there stuff. That's like genetic engineering. If you can understand that, you're a better man than me. Now, there is a guy who's recently been given an award. Frankly, he's deserving of a knighthood or a peerage. His name is Alex Whittingham, and he runs Bristol Ground School. And I am saying this without fear or favour. Alex will probably not remember me, but if anybody is looking to do your examinations, be it residential or long distance, I would heartily recommend you check that gentleman and his fantastic operation out. But why I'm mentioning him, I needed to do Performance A, and I needed to do it pretty quickly. And any of the books I read, to me, it might as well have been in Chinese. He ran a course that started on a Saturday morning, and by Sunday tea time, he guaranteed you that you'll know enough to pass the exam at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. So I went and did the course, and at 9 o'clock on Monday morning I did the exam, and we passed, and that was the job done. So good man, Alex Whittingham, because that's great. When you join an airline, there are people, and they're wonderful people, who look after all the load planning for you, and you don't really need to get involved in all of that. But these are hoops that the authorities make you go through, and so I hold Alex in the highest esteem, as do many tens of thousands of people. I know he's got a heroic status. I just don't understand why the gong crowd haven't given him what he really deserves. So everybody write your MP and get Alex Whittingham a knighthood or a peerage.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you find the transition from fast jet to commercial?
Well, it's very, very different. One of the first things and I was lucky to be told this before I set foot on Virgin territory, was don't be mentioning anything about where you've come from, be it an airline or the military. Nobody wants to hear that. They don't give a tinkers about where you've been before. Shut up, take it all in, do your job, and that'll be fine. And I said to myself, the best thing to do here is say you're an apprentice in a new trade. I'm being very careful I don't swear here. I'd be like a sponge, take it all in, even if you think it's a lot of nonsense. Just nod sagely and say thanks a lot, write it down. And I did that for about 2 or 3 years, and then I thought, well, I've been here long enough now, I might be able to say one or two things, can you explain this, or why did we do this, or one thing or another. But it was very, very different. Look, going to work in a short sleeve white cotton shirt compared to a rubber goon suit or a G suit, staying in a half-decent hotel rather than some brick outhouse on a far-flung part of a military camp, going to places that you've never been to before, and always flying with different people because no 2 days were the same. I loved it. I thought it was great. I was very fortunate to be accepted by Virgin, and at that time the demands, the T's and C's and the flying experience were really quite onerous, and I count myself very lucky to have been accepted then. Different now, the CAA have changed the experience levels required, and there's much more interaction between the airlines and the military, and that's driven by a shortage. Everything's supply and demand. Yeah,
because I think for people who, we spoke about before with the limitations, especially financially, I think is probably one of the biggest limitations for people to get into aviation.
Yeah,
people may see the military as a way in and a way to get going, but obviously it is good that the military have kind of seen that, and they'll get the service they need, and then make it easy for people to transition. Do you feel like it wasn't that easy for you to make that jump yourself?
Definitely, because there was no real desire from either side. That's not meant in a derogatory manner. There was no real need for the airlines to be desirable of it, and the RAF had no need to get rid of their pilots at the time that I was leaving. Now, subsequently, they had a redundancy scheme, and instantly pilots are available. But a military pilot is going to take a conversion, and that's about 6 months from the time of getting to an airline. You've got to do all the ground school, you've then got to do the fixed-based and moving simulator training, and then you've got to do the line training, and depending on your experience, that will be at least 6 months. But now the world has changed. The airlines are desperate across the world for pilots. That's why they're putting their hand into their pockets for cadetships and financial help for folk to come and fly for them. And if they can get some flying experience from the military, well, that would be brilliant. So now they have sort of bandied together, they've got collabed to try and make that work, and that's great. But it was very different, that's for sure.
Yeah, it must have been a huge change, but I think a change that you enjoyed, because you ended up staying at Virgin Atlantic, if I check my notes, for 25 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah, and it flies by in no time at all. I was only speaking to one of the British Airways people this morning about folk who say, I'm not going to do this very long. More cabin crew than pilots, admittedly. So I'm not going to do it very long. And every month there's a date on which the roster comes out, and your life you're like children will be looking forward to Easter or Christmas Day. How many days? You'll be thinking about that at the roster. Out it comes, and that means you're a month ahead already. Well, that's 12 times that happens, and that's a year gone. Yeah. And there are suddenly people who have joined for a year, and 20 years later they're still there. Now, I was there for keeps, unless they sacked me, and thankfully we never got into any of that sort of situation. But it's a funny thing how what is viewed as potentially just short term can end up being a bit of a mini lifetime,
Yeah, I think when you enjoy something, and as with yourself, it's a passion, aviation. You can very easily, quite happily, with us coming here, streaming, it doesn't feel like work for a day that you're doing it,
I mean, that you've just hit the nail on the head, haven't you? You could say I've never done a day's work in my life.
Yeah.
And to be paid to do what is a hobby, but I really like, oh my God, somebody's paying me to fly this machine, and we're going somewhere, and they're going to pick up the bill for the hotel, and they'll give you some money to buy your dinner and one thing and another. Sure, you couldn't beat it.
Well, that's the thing, and it's like us, we're coming here 2-3 times a week, and then someone goes, oh, by the way, we need to file taxes, and we need to. I'm like, I don't want to stream. Like, hold on, now you've got a business to run. Now you need to start your research.
Paperwork to do.
Yeah, it's like you suddenly realise
that's the fun police coming out, isn't it? The morale suppression department.
I think when you're looking for a point when you've changed career of when is this actually a career, it's when you realise you can't just stream all your life. You've actually got to do taxes and accounts and things, which make it a little bit less fun.
But it wouldn't ever be to the detriment of your enjoyment doing it.
No.
I mean, you're in control of what you're doing. Look at the view out of your office.
Yeah.
Short of being 6 miles above the earth, what more could you possibly want?
Well, that's it. And we've said on the shows quite a few times, it is a privilege to do what we do, and getting to have guests like yourself on as well just makes streaming really easy. And the people who turn up every week as well, like you saw when we were getting ready to go live, there was people in the channel having a conversation, waiting for the show to start and stuff, and it's great. Just caught my eye landing the A330 Neo. That's a good looking jet, isn't it?
Yeah, butter machine for sure. Yeah. 330s. It's a great jet. Virgin bought a 330-300, and it's the shorter range version. Doesn't have the center tank, but It was a great jet, particularly good for flying around the Caribbean, around that inter-island stuff. But there's something about it that everybody loves seeing a 330 landing, and when it's done, so as it is so many times, beautifully. My God, it's majestic, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Isn't it like a swan coming down onto a calm piece of water to land? That's just. Very true.
You ever seen the 767 landing? It's like the opposite, because the forward.
Yes, but the bogies, the trucks are pointing the other way down. Yeah,
and
it's like throwing a bag of spuds off the roof of the building. Yeah,
it's like the opposite.
Sorry, 767 drivers. I didn't mean to be derogatory there, but
well, it's a shame because we love seeing the 76s. We used to have quite a few here at Manchester. The most common one was probably TUI back in the day, and before that, there was other airlines.
Yeah,
and it's mad to think aircraft like that, 76, 757, as you mentioned, they're almost like rare aircraft now.
Yeah,
it's like these are planes that you just see day in, day out here.
Yeah,
in Manchester.
They're becoming modern classics, aren't they?
Yeah, 747 as well.
Yeah,
they don't really exist here. I mean, you might see some at Heathrow and things, but to fly on them, to experience them.
Some of your viewers may well be part of the conversation, flagging up when that Korean 747-8 comes in. They returned it to regular service.
They did,
the triple off, and people specifically go now to see it. Whereas before it was 10 a penny, wasn't it? Seeing jumbos.
Yeah, we had Virgin 74s at Manchester. And like you said, you flew here back in the 80s, you said.
Yeah.
And back then, we were getting all sorts, like Cathay Pacific 747s, Qantas, you know.
Yeah.
And they were just everywhere.
Yeah.
We did wonder what it would... Can you imagine the streaming scene would have started off 20, 30 years earlier?
It would have been like those Pathé movies back. You would have to have a collar and tie on and a trilby hat.
And half an orchestra in front playing all
well, here we see.
Sorry, I am slightly distracted because we've got our resident wasp that seems to make an appearance every time we're streaming here at the minute. It's
obviously an Avgeek wasp.
It is. He's in here every week trying to get me.
Most famous wasp in town.
So you flew 340 at Virgin Atlantic later on.
340, 300, 340, 600, 330, 300, and 787. Huh?
What did you start on?
340, 300.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. That it was probably good because it was, for an Egypt like me, it took about 45 minutes to get up the top of climb. How that thing got certified, I will never know. If you were fully laden, coming out of somewhere really warm, oh my God, I've talked to the family are blue in the face about coming out of Johannesburg at night, red end stop bar just disappearing under the nose, and you're thinking, are we going to hit the fence? In fact, there is a video we did AirX. It's down in I think it's in South America, where you see this thing. It's only because of the curvature of the Earth that it actually gains any altitude.
I've heard that reported about the 340s.
But the 600, different machine. Those trends. Whoa, that was a rocket ship. That was great.
Yeah, it's a big difference, a massive difference.
Yeah.
How long was you on the 340 before you moved to the 74?
I never flew the 74. The only time I flew the 74 was in my simulator test to get in the company, which is crazy. Having never flown a commercial airliner in my life, I'm put in the right-hand seat of this 747-200.
Yeah.
To do 3 different approaches at Heathrow, they must have been desperate because they let me in. But it was
online. Someone is saying that you flew the 747, so we might have to correct that record.
No.
That was going to be my next line of questioning: was how did you find the transition into the 74?
No,
at least you had to go in a sim then.
Pardon?
At least you had a good go in the sim.
Yes, I did. But being a 200, you see, there was a flight engineer there, so it was a very big CRM thing, albeit all I had to do was just concentrate on getting this thing on the deck without breaking it.
Yeah.
Which I managed to do, and it's funny actually. Let's not focus on me. Let's just try and tell the wider audience out there that, believe you me, I'm somebody who really, really is convinced of this, that you make your own luck.
Mm-hmm.
pursue your dream. Do not let it go, and don't take no for an answer. I had written to Virgin, and they responded to me saying, no, sorry, we're not interested at the moment because we've filled all our interview slots and they're finishing this week. So I kind of had a dose of Tourette's and walked off down the road to get a newspaper, and I came back and the phone was ringing, and it was the then recruitment people at Virgin saying, can you come for an interview? This was on a Monday. Can you come on a Wednesday, next Wednesday? And I said, yeah, but you told me you were... Are you coming or not? I'll be there. Don't you worry about that. And I went down, and then it was very nice. You used to get prawns, big tempura prawns for your lunch. I was, great. And
we won't show you what Captain Mark gets for his lunch with we've got a little section on our community group for we call it Rate My Scran, it's called, where all the community posts pictures of what they're having for dinner. Maybe we share recipes. Yeah. Captain Mark shares his crew food, and I think calling it food is a bit of a...
It would be a new business to set up. I digress to this. That it'd be a new business set up to be given Michelin stars for crew food. It's things you never hear. Crew food and Michelin stars.
I'll show you some of the pictures after the stream. You'll probably
do they look as if they've come pre-eaten?
Yes. Yeah, they do. And I think calling them food is a bit of a...
Oh, right.
Yeah, so some of them aren't that great. And considering this is what you're feeding the people who are flying the thing, you know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time I used to take my own food because the bottom line is it's full of stuff to try and make it taste better than it looks, and really repetitively I don't believe it's good for you.
We speak about that quite a bit, don't we? We tend to talk about sort of bread these days having like 15 ingredients, and, you know, all sorts of food, and you know, trying to eat healthy, and even things like, you know, just getting a steak. You can get a cheap steak from the shop, then you compare that to a price of like a Happy Meal or something. You know, you can be eating steak for the same price as a McDonald's, and you just gotta, you know, if you wanna. By all, like, you know, we're not like hitting the gym and all this sort of stuff, but you've got to. I think you've got to try and eat healthy, haven't you? And these days there is a lot of things in food that are probably not.
We do have a Greg's right next to our office, so that, you know, that doesn't help.
Yeah, that's
my wife says to me, you know, everything in moderation. Of course, eating one Greg's doesn't mean you turn into a different size and shape and you're going to drop dead.
Look at Matt. He's thin and eats him all the time.
You know, so horses for courses. But yeah, I think trying to eat the right. So even if you're trying, sure, isn't that a good enough thing to do? When you become obsessive or cutting things out completely, you know, I don't want to go down some route that might annoy certain sections of the community, but I think just a well-balanced diet. How's that sound?
That's it. We've plenty of cups of tea, I think.
But I had the prawn lunch, and then little did I know that this was actually a surreptitious interview in itself, because I had said in the interview, like every lad would do, so what aeroplane would you like to fly, Pete? And of course, I said the 747-400.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that the person interviewing me was the fleet manager for the Airbus. During one of me scoffing one of these prawns, this fella said to me, terribly nice chap, an ex-British Airways Atlantic Baron, said to me, Pete, you were asked a question this morning that you got the answer wrong to. I said, really? And he said, yes, you were asked what aeroplane you would like to fly, and you said the 747-400, which of course is not the correct answer. I said, oh dear, I'm sorry, what should I have said? And he said, you should have said the Airbus. Really? Yes, you should do that. So I'll go and see if you're going to be asked that question again. And I said, anyway, that was noted. And there were more questions and stuff in the afternoon, and then I got a phone call as I was leaving the building on my Nokia brick. Do you remember those things that were about the size of a house brick? Can you be in the simulator on Sunday morning at Gatwick? Obviously the answer has been changed on the piece of paper. And I said, well, yeah, how am I going to fly that? Oh, well, we'll send you a fax. Do you remember them? Faxes? So I came on that greasy, sort of shiny paper. There's very poor quality. It was a few attitudes and a few power settings and a plate, an instrument approach procedure for Heathrow 27 right, and that was it. Turn up, be there or be square. And I turned up, and then the next week they phoned me and said, your Airbus course starts in September.
There you go.
And that was it. And actually, I had spoken to folk who indirectly I'd met through being at Exeter, who worked for Virgin, and they said that, you know, I think you would enjoy it, pursue it until they say absolutely not, do not ring us again, we are not interested.
Yeah.
And it worked. And now the moral of that story really is blethering on, chase your dreams and show that you're resilient and determined, because that's what they want. The training is challenging, and there'll be times where you'll fail something, and you shouldn't take it personally. It's a professional thing, and you need to have a strength of character and mind. Say, I'm going to put it behind me, I'm going to learn from those lessons, and I'm going to do it better the next time to reach the standard, rather than beating yourself up or going into a rut about it. Mm-hmm. And these are the sort of pilot competencies and character traits that the modern selection process delves into.
Yes, I think the modern selection process is a lot different as well, in terms of the questions that you're being asked, especially to get into like these scholarships and things.
Yeah,
it's not directly aviation. It's very much thought process driven, problem solving, things like that. So you're being asked questions that are completely, in your mind, unrelated to the job you're doing, but they're actually looking to pick up on key traits, aren't they?
Absolutely. And I will be absolutely candid with you that I'm no expert on any of this, either on what the actual type of questions are, other than a broad general thing that you've just mentioned, or indeed the answers that people would strongly suggest you give. However, a quick troll through the internet will find you people who run online courses or in-person courses that will tutor and mentor you through and get you right up to the standard required. I mean, when I went to that interview, that was pilots interviewing pilots, and I found out subsequently that they were trying to work out, do I want to sit with this person for 8, 10, 12 hours in the cruise? They didn't really seem too bothered about what I would do in certain situations or what I would say or not say. But of course, the world has moved on. It's a different place now.
Yeah. There was a question in the chat just saying that it is true, isn't it, that pilots eat different meals. I think we've had that confirmed by Captain Mark as well.
Yes. That is, the whole idea there is to try and avoid eating the same dodgy prawn, or it's maybe not a prawn, it's maybe something that's purported to be chicken. Something, you don't want to eat the same thing together, because that would be risking a problem. But I wonder what happens if the world goes for a single pilot operation.
Do you think that'll ever happen? I can't imagine.
Do I think so? I think I've never heard of anything so utterly stupid in all my life, and I'm being completely honest with you. I think it is bonkers beyond all human belief.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's one of them where on paper it might be possible, but you need to draw a line somewhere, don't you? Because when safety is at risk,
of course,
it's so imperative to have that extra person.
Of course.
It's worth the money, isn't it?
Of course.
And that's what I mean, and especially in the modern age as well, with so much trouble with mental health and so much things going on, you know, with the systems are so in depth and they need a lot of thought process. Like, you know, what happens with these aircraft? Like, you're flying them and it's doing a lot for you, but when that stops happening due to an issue, a second pair of eyes helping you work through those ECAM memos, all those checklists, everything like that, it's got to be, that alone has got to be worthwhile.
And you're dealing with a human being that, you know, there's no such thing as 100% accuracy and perfection. Somebody's going to have a bad day, or they feel a bit tired, or, you know, they feel off or whatever. And it can be, we talk about the holes lining up in the Swiss cheese. Sod's law will be the day that something is going to go wrong, all those holes line up, and okay, it's a very small possibility. But I was always told that if you're telling me that safety is expensive, I'll tell you what's even more expensive: a crash.
Yeah.
And the way you avoid a crash is to have safety, and you have safety in numbers. That's a minimum of 2 pilots.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now, I can probably hear the phone lines lighting up.
Well, I don't know if you can, mate. I'll be honest. I can't imagine there are that many people calling for this. I really can't imagine.
I think you may well be right. Within the travelling public, there's probably a fair number, but from the other side of the fence, from the manufacturers and the bean counters, once again, I'm genuinely not being disrespectful to these people, because they do great work in their own field, but I come from the safety of the operation and obviously protecting pilots' jobs, but the reason for having pilots in the first place is to fly aeroplanes, and you need to have all sorts of checks and balances in there, not only before but during the flight and after. And I'm sorry, but it just doesn't cut it with me. And the way to prove that it is not a good idea is not to do it and show that it goes wrong and then say, okay, well, maybe have a second look at it.
Well, we've made a poll in the chat just to ask people, would you feel comfortable with only one pilot in the flight deck? So we'll see what the results come back on that. But I mean, already we're at 100%.
No. I've opened a can of worms.
Absolutely not. This is what we like to do on this channel.
I'll never be invited back.
No, it's good.
Look what you did.
It's a very good talking point, I think, and we like to have these sort of discussions and get people's input and see what the chat is saying about it as well. Right. And a lot of positivity in the chat, saying it's a really good stream, loving the conversation. So thank you for everybody who's getting involved in the stream. And if you do have any questions as well, please feel free to get them in. And one from one of our moderators, Terry, was asking, did you have any memorable flights or any sort of destinations that you really enjoyed to fly into?
Yes, Terry, thank you for your question. It's an interesting one and a good one. I have to be very careful, because there are folk, the reality is that I've been privileged to go to places that people might go as on their bucket list. They use their life savings to go. I do remember being in Cape Town, having been a couple of times before. It's a gorgeous place. You do need to have your wits about you, because there are one or two local characters are out to rook you and might try and take the shirt off your back. But it's a fine place for scenery, weather, food, wine. Oh my God, beyond belief. But I was down there with some new cabin crew, never been before, and they were acting a leg. They were being stupid. They were just being completely outrageous. I don't want them to be appreciative of what they got, but you've got to realise you've gone right down to the bottom of the Africa. The next thing is Antarctica. This is absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. But they just didn't kind of appreciate it, and I really appreciate it, and I loved going there. I was very privileged to go. Some of the trips, one trip was up a week long. It was fantastic. So I loved Cape Town. I loved going to San Francisco. I loved going to Boston and Chicago. I particularly liked going to Hong Kong because I had been there with the military, and so I had kind of previous memories of the place. So yeah, I was very, very lucky to get a really big cross-section of places. And yeah, getting to them could be interesting. Flying down through Africa is in the middle of the night when there are thunderstorms around, and not every aeroplane has got their lights on and their transponder on and doing exactly what they should be doing. So it's a bit of the Wild West sometimes down there. You need to be careful. So yeah, I hope, Terry, that gives you some insight. But I was very lucky, and I'm very appreciative of where I went to, because otherwise, believe me, I wouldn't have had the wherewithal to go there myself.
Yeah, that's the thing with, I think a lot of the appeal with airline piloting as well is the destinations you can go, and to just the different parts of the world that it takes you. And as you say, sometimes you're getting a layover there, or you're spending a couple of days there, and just getting a little taster of the little places, so you can just bid on it next time if you want to. Yeah. You want to go to that place. But I think that's one of the main attractions, isn't it, for flying? And in terms of the actual day-to-day flying itself, I know when we spoke to Mark, he said, the view out the window just never gets never gets boring. But
No.
is there a particular view that you'll kind of always remember when you were doing your flying? That
yes. Well, first of all, close to home, coming in over the city of London is absolutely mesmerising. It's never, oh, there's London, by day and by night. Fantastic. Even when the cloud is low, you can see through the bricks. You see the Shard or the Tower of London or Tower Bridge. Oh, brilliant. And navigating your way around by coming over the Emirates Stadium, and I know that London City's coming up. Yeah. The Golden Gate Bridge at San Francisco, coming in through the islands into Hong Kong. There's great views. Great views. Dubai was probably the least impressive, because when I started going there, they didn't have the big Burj Dubai, and it just looked like a lot of sand. But things have changed now. I mean, it's like Las Vegas, that just seems to morph into double its size every time you blink.
I was just about to say, the speed at which they're developing there is really impressive, isn't it? Let's have a quick scroll through the chat. So I think it's a very firm 95%.
That is a very overwhelming majority there, isn't it?
Well, does anybody explain from the 5% why they think it would be okay? Wouldn't it be just interesting to hear how they think? Because it doesn't mean that we're right or they're wrong. It's just to hear the other side of it. There you go.
If you're one of the 4% that said you would be happy with one pilot in the cockpit, please get your thoughts in the chat. We'd love to read that out. EasyJet just arriving in from Ibiza.
Oh, right. Full of clippers.
Was in the chat saying, did you ever fly into the old Hong Kong Kai Tak?
Well, in myself, did I fly the airplane? The honest answer is no. Have I done it in the simulator? The answer is yes. Have I been a passenger in it in the back of a British Caledonian DC-10? The answer is yes. But the answer to the question you were asked was no. Sadly, I didn't. But I tell you what, the simulators are so good now that you damn well feel as if you've done it.
I think we've all had a go at that, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's wild, mate.
And now that you see those old videos of, the Air China and the Alitalia and the rest, slamming it down, making an absolute Henry Halls of it. Oh, my God.
It just... Nothing like that would ever be allowed today, would it? It just wouldn't happen.
There's an IGS sort of system in... where is there an IGS? I think there's somewhere in India, Nepal somewhere out there. They come down to a committal point, and then they...
Yeah, there's a right and then a left, and then it comes into land.
Yeah. But it's not kind of the done thing. No.
I mean, even with Innsbruck now, that circle to land into Innsbruck, I think, has been replaced by GPS approach through the mountains now.
So believe. Yeah,
taking all the fun away, aren't they?
Yeah, Innsbruck's a good one in the sim as well.
Yeah, it is a handful. It is a handful. I mean, even here at Manchester, we've got the dreaded hump on the old 2-3 right that can catch you out every now and again as well.
And then you put in the mechanical turbulence like they have at Heathrow coming off those BA sheds. That can make for a hearty mix of things to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Old arms and legs show going with the controls and the rudders.
If we've got wind from the north on a stormy day, we're going to be here because, as you say, that's just when you see things happening. And we've said on our stream, we just love to see the aircraft work down onto the runway and getting it down. It's just really impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. There are some times I think where they should discontinue their work and come back for another go.
I did particularly like your video you did. I believe it was a Q8 330 landing in very wet weather here at Manchester, and you did a commentary on that for us, which was really good.
So is Kuwait a country I can't visit?
You'll have to ask them, but I thought the video was quite good. I think you didn't. Okay. You didn't.
Can I just say, I just am hijacking the opportunity, if I may, that all of this that I say is meant in good heart. It's infotainment, and it is not to take somebody down or make somebody feel as if they're a failure or whatever. Now, people say, "Well, that's ridiculous because." You are. Well, I'm not. Let me use the analogy if I can. Imagine a former football player is commentating on a football match and there's a wide open goal and Ronaldo misses it. You're not going to say, well, that was a great shot from Ronaldo. It's say what you see. That was a Horlicks, you know? And all of these people they're great pilots, they're great aviators, but if they make a Henry Halls or something, I can't say that was brilliant when it was a disaster.
Yeah.
So, yes, there's a bit of swearing, but it's all in the nature of a bit of fun. And I hope it's taken that way, both by people that watch it and the folk that were at the controls. I'm not here to try and decimate the aviation industry that has looked after me for 42 years, you know?
Yeah, because that was something that I was kind of umming and ahhing whether to touch on, to be honest.
My bad language and criticism.
No, more on how do you think your content is received by professional pilots in the instance where potentially we're, like you say, in jest kind of pointing out a particular landing, let's say. I mean, I know when we do these streams, we try to focus a lot on during stormy shows, we could very easily be shouting and screaming and go, oh, nearly, and all this. But we try and focus on the pilot's skill and the conditions of the day as well. But I think you're kind of coming from it as a different standpoint of obviously your years in aviation. You're a lot more knowledgeable in that area than us. And as you say, your style of content is different to that. And I was curious, how do you feel it's been received by pilots on the most part, do you think?
I would say in the absence of, a tsunami of hate mail, maybe there is in the suppressed stuff that I don't look at. I haven't been told that, this is not on. I, without blowing my own trumpet, would say, in fairness, I am balanced. I try to show the good as well as the bad. I'm not sure that it is precisely a 50-50 split, but there's a hearty mixture of, hey, look at this for a greaser, a Kerry Gold, and oh, bloomin' heck, look at this, would you? This is a bag of spanners.
In the world we live in, it's the ropey landings that are going to get the most views, isn't it?
Yeah, but do you know that as a slight digression is a different thing, because some videos you think, well, this might well pique people's interest, and it doesn't, and then something else that you think is maybe the equivalent of taking the top off a bottle gets hundreds of thousands of people looking at it.
Yes.
Trying to second guess what the great viewers out there want to see is something that I don't think we should indulge in. I think we should give what we feel is good content, that is fair, accurate. Don't BS people. If I, like I said at the start, if I don't know something, I'll say I don't know, but I think I know where to find out. And of course, I'm only human, and I have said, oh, that's a 319 when it's a 320, or I've said something wrong. But I do fess up and say I've got that wrong. I'm sorry, because I think you've got to have credibility, and people have got to know that you're a real person rather than some fat oaf that is just going to spew out whatever they think and not take any criticism.
I think you got two things going for you as well. You got obviously the veteran experience of these aircraft really well and what they're doing and what the pilot's doing, but also you got that Irish crack as well, which is like everyone who knows someone who's Irish or gets it understands that you are putting on an extra layer of humour there as well. That
but there are some, Andy, that they think I'm being serious.
That's it, yeah.
And I just encourage, spread the word, everybody, please, ladies and gentlemen, the fine listeners and viewers out there, wherever you may be, that I genuinely am not here to take people down. Why would I be?
No. It's not worth the energy, is it? I don't think. But there's a few people in the chat just asking where to find Pete's content. So we have got a Nightbot command set up. So just keep an eye out for Nightbot, which links to Pete's YouTube channel and also the social links as well on the Comey page. So you can follow that and you can see you've got content on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all those.
It's like a bad smell. It's everywhere.
We have to be, don't we?
We're the same.
Yeah.
Is there any platform that you particularly focus on the most? Are you on like Facebook, TikTok, anything?
Instagram and YouTube, I would say. But as we've only been doing this since May last year, May 24.
Wow.
So evolution, and as each day, week, month passes, capacity and interest peaks opening up to. We didn't do Facebook or X before, but that's started now. But I find that the different platforms have obviously got different audiences, and then within that, they will want to see a certain type of content. So what might be brilliant on one thing may not be on another. To be honest with you, look, it's a bit like making a buffet. Some of them will all want to eat the salad, and then others will just want to go for the sweet and sour chicken. It doesn't mean that it's good or bad. Take whatever you fancy, as long as you're enjoying yourself. We don't want to give anybody food poisoning.
There's a very nice comment there for you, Pete, as well, in the chat from Captain TB777.
Oh. I think he's been on the drink. Yes, I don't know where Captain TB777 is. I guess a former triple pilot, but maybe it's 5 o'clock wherever you are, and that's absolutely fine. But well, coming up to 11:45, there's probably a boozer open here. So, oh dear, there's an umbrella going up. That's the talk of the hour.
I mean, it was inevitable, I think, to be honest.
It's only a passing shower. It doesn't look too bad. Well, thank you very much, sir. That's very kind of you to say those kind words.
Do you miss flying?
Same right back at you. Do I miss flying? To be perfectly honest, I don't. It changed a lot over the time that I was at Virgin, not just as within the company, but the world. September the 11th, obviously, was a huge game changer. Then that shoe bomber person caused... I was explaining to my family about that recently. I was doing an LA that morning, and that was like, well, you can't make this up. What do we do now? We just got to run with it. And then there was COVID. And once something's gone, a bit like these supermarket adverts will say, once it's gone, it's gone. And inevitably that changes the nature, the style of the job, the terms and conditions. It doesn't change the safety. It doesn't change the way you fly a 777, but it's everything else that goes with it, because it is a life, not only for you, but for your family, and you're missing birthdays and all sorts. And if you're working even harder, as pilots and cabin crew are now, you're at home less, and that puts a lot of stress, which is never talked about, really, when you're talking about pilots' jobs. There are folk coming in here who might be on a 4-day tour or something. They haven't seen their wife and kids or their partner and their relatives, loved ones, for days on end. So it's not all cocktails under palm trees.
No, Andy did a great interview with a lady called Concorde Julie. You may have
I've seen her. Yes,
who's a British Airways crew, and
would she have been on Concorde at any stage in her life?
She flew with Concorde,
I think the crew was in the name.
And the 747. She was going to call herself Jumbo Julie, but that's quite not. The connotations of that quite not as slick.
Yeah, that's a different market altogether, isn't it?
Yes. But she actually commented to your point there on the family side of things, how it was obviously having to leave family behind, and she had children as well, and she very much flew to the States a lot on the long haul side of BA as well. And she loves providing that sort of high-class service in that area, but she does touch on the fact, like you say, if you do miss a lot of family time. The family time that you do have becomes sort of very important.
And you can do those longer trips. I mean, I was maybe going to work 4 or 5 times a month, and people say, that's a breeze. But actually, when you come home, you're knackered. And my wife used to talk about getting a sort of a false wall put in, plywood wall, just to corral me into a side room, just to, like a bear with a sore head, put him in there for a couple of days, or take him to the vet to get the bolt. He's vile. That is just that's just horrible. And I used to call that rehumanizing. And that's not the side of a piloting job that will ever be an advertisement, because there's no free lunch. There's a downside to everything. But on balance, do I think it was great? It was fantastic. But don't forget about the families, because they're at home doing all those things when you're off in wherever, and they're keeping the show going. And if you've got a young family, that's a hell of a lot to ask, Yeah,
Simon asks an interesting question. Have you ever thought of writing an autobiography. It would be an interesting read.
Simon, thank you for your question. That's something that a bit like Performance A. It doesn't compute in my head. I can't ever conceive really of somebody wanting to listen, actually paying money to listen to all this chitter.
You might be missing a trick here, because I think a lot of the success of your content just comes from the way you present it with not only your accent, but also the way you talk and everything like that. And I think you could even look to go down the audiobook route. I think would be very successful.
That's only for insomniacs.
Listen, I would buy it.
People say you listen to us, so you've got a bit more.
But you'd only buy it to give it to the person you hate the most.
Yeah, well, it's still a sale, isn't it? At the end
of
the day.
Okay. Well, it's a very nice question, a nice thought. Thank you very much. But I haven't thought about it. Maybe one day when I've got less to do. But thanks very much for the idea.
Sam asks, how do you find sort of balancing being a pilot and a father and a family man? How does that sort of... How did you navigate that?
Having a wonderful wife. Mm-hmm. There's no... Look, this may take me into an overspeed in the support of the audience, but here is my personal opinion. No man would be able to put up with being pregnant for 9 months with all that brings, and then childbirth, which is just, say no more, it is unbelievable. And then, look, when you buy a car, you get an owner's manual. When you get a child, when your wife gives birth to a child, there is no owner's manual. You get bid farewell, off you go home.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously? Are you serious? This person has given birth to a child. They're on their bootstraps, and now the child, if the mother is going to feed the child and she's not slept, she's exhausted, da-di-da-di-da, and then I'll be coming out saying, "Where are my underpants?" I mean, I nearly was in A&E. I was already in the hospital, so I didn't have to go very far, but I kept telling my wife to breathe. Well, I was told if I said that again, I'd be going down to A&E. That was while I was drinking tea and eating Walker's shortbread, saying breathe. No bloke would do it. So the answer to the question is having a supportive wife who picks up the reins on not only running the house, but bringing up a child or children who are young, and all that brings 24/7. And I couldn't do it, and I take my hat off to any of the ladies that give birth to children and bring them up, because it's no mean feat.
Well, you've got it all to look forward to.
Oh, yes, I have, yes. We've got a little girl at the moment, but...
Okay, well, you've been round the lap once before.
We've got another one due in just a few months, so...
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be interesting.
So you'll be swapping pink paint for blue paint now. Do you know what you're having?
Boy, yes.
You do know?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So one room's pink and another one will be blue.
Literally, yes.
Yeah. And what are the kids in? Sorry, that one fell on deaf ears, but don't worry.
You got it through. I got it.
Yeah. So a very, very supportive wife. That's what you need. And look, this isn't family or marriage guidance or anything else, but it's not easy. Like life, it's a bloody big test, and of course you're going to fall out and get really hacked off with each other. But that's the test of the team, and you stick together and see it through. It's great, but it's bloody hard work.
I can only imagine. And
there's a fine machine.
Yeah, talking about the variation we get at Manchester then.
Irish registered, by Jove.
There you go.
Ah.
Is that a frequent visitor, that one? Do you know?
Can't recall seeing this. An Irish registered PC-12 at Manchester.
What's he got on the tail there?
As well. Swiss.
It looks like a Swiss flag, but it's Irish registered. Isn't that funny?
Linking to Pilatus, I would have thought.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But a beautiful airframe. We were fortunate to an NGX came into Barton, which is where our office is based.
Oh, right, at the old airfield.
That's it. And they brought one in, Orion's Aviation, and we got invited on board to have a look around with their sales manager, and
Really? It's a hell of a bit of kit, isn't
Very
it?
modern, aren't they? Yeah, very modern.
A friend of mine flies one of them for a private owner, and very impressive. Very impressive.
PC-12 was that?
Yeah,
really nice. Yeah.
And then we were fortunate to be invited by the guys at Silver Aviation, which are based here, onto their brand new PC-24, which is the jet equivalent of that airframe, and it still has a lot of the positives of the PC-12, like the short field capability and the big cargo door and everything like that. But obviously, you've got the benefit of the jets, which means you're transporting footballers around. You're not having to follow the Bay of Biscay anymore. You can just go straight across. And you had quite a story to tell on that one. Didn't you?
We got invited to have a fly on one because they had
you?
Yeah, they had an empty leg. So
wow,
it was from Parma to it was on the PC-12 originally. Said we've got an empty leg PC-12 flying from Parma to Manchester.
Wow,
do you want to have a go? Assuming nobody buys it, you can have a go.
Yeah.
So we went. So we're like, you know what? We'll book a Ryanair flight back.
Yeah,
because there's no guarantee we're flying back. And also, there was loads of fog at Manchester at the time.
All right.
So I think the PC-12s couldn't fly that route because of the fog, so they just didn't
fly. Are they not Cat 3 capable?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
So in the end, and it ended up not even going to Manchester, it ended up going to Cardiff or something.
Oh, right.
But the guy phoned and said, listen, it's still on. It's a day late, though. So you're going to miss your Ryanair flight. But we're upgrading to the PC-24, which is the jet. They're like, go on then. We'll wait. We'll try to cross everything. But it's only if the fog, dissipates in time. Yeah. And again, it lasts like 3 or 4 days, this fog. It was horrendous. And lo and behold, it came to Parma. We seen it on flight radar, taking off, and we had a big cheer.
What was it like?
It was very nice. It was. It didn't feel like an airplane.
Oh, it was very nice.
He does it every week.
Yeah.
I can't really. It just felt like a living room. Like it was very similar on the ground as it is in the air. It's just like nice seats, very hands off though from the crew, because like they have seatbelt signs and stuff, and they're like, you don't really have to follow them. You can just you can do whatever you want, Right. And it's just very hands off.
And how big was the lobster thermidor that you got?
Sadly, we didn't get any of that. They do have like premium catering things. They do. But as a standard, they do like sandwiches and usual.
Did you bring your Greggs with you? Is that when the Greggs came into play?
Yes, if it was from Manchester, probably. But this was from Parma, so
wow,
it was nice.
That's brilliant.
It's impressive. Yeah. We did manage to get very fortunate with a chap at the heliport because he had come across our channel and he'd popped his head in and said, I've got a helicopter base here. It's a very successful business.
This is here, is it?
At Barton.
Oh, right.
And he's got his own YouTube channel as well. And I was just curious about like some advice for my YouTube channel and things. And if I take you up in a helicopter, you spend a bit of time with me on that. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, whatever you want. Like, I kind of assumed that it's probably one of those things where you get an offer and then maybe it doesn't materialise and things. And then, a few weeks later, he knocked on and said, what do you fancy next week? Should we go? And we got took up in a helicopter, which, to be honest, was something that I'd never thought I'd enjoy. When you imagine a helicopter, you kind of think you're just going to be rattled to bits for the next
Not
time.
Not on these modern turbine engines.
Exactly, yeah. on the new ones. So it was a Airbus
125 or 120.
Is that an Augusta thing? Is it?
No,
it's an Airbus Industries.
Yeah. And it was beautiful. And it was so smooth and
really
and
was he flying it himself?
He flew it, yeah.
Wow.
And he took us up from Barton, brought us over to the the north of the field here at Manchester, and just said, if you just pull that window to one side there, you can stick your camera out. And we were taking pictures of Virgin Atlantic A380s being pushed back off the gate. We did some more bits.
You turned into a spy.
We did, yeah.
You're a reconnaissance spy.
That's it. It's working with you now.
So you've done that beautifully at the start of this presentation. Is it like a Peter Kay joke?
You just got to lead into it.
All goes into it.
Yeah. But it was an amazing. It was absolutely amazing, wasn't it? And then we went back and he said, "Any of you football fans?" So there's a long and short story. But I bought a new TV last Christmas and I had nothing to watch on it, so I decided I'd get into football.
What?
Yeah, I know. And funnily enough, I chose Manchester United as the team to support
Airliners
as well.
Live to watch on your television.
I know, but I'm a bit far away from my TV when I'm doing these streams.
True. You could record it.
Get it.
And it was great. We went and did a loop around Manchester United a few times, and then back to the office. It was that was
your
just
first
nuts.
time flying for a
For
while.
15 years, yeah.
What?
Yeah, so I don't fly.
Why?
Believe it or not. Because I have a very specific, and it's an anxiety thing I've had since a very young age. So it's travelled through my whole life.
No.
But a very specific sort of fear of being not able to get out of a situation or a place that I don't like. So for me, obviously, I love flying. I'd love looking out the window, but you're in that seat now, and you're not getting off until we get to such and such a place.
Oh, I see.
And if, I'm sure you can kick up a fuss and say, land me at the nearest airport, but that
not when you're halfway across the Atlantic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is something that we do speak about on the channel, because I think something that can be overlooked by potentially a lot of content creators is you kind of come to this, and I don't know whether this is necessarily true with yourself, but us especially, you come to it trying to sort of at least project some confidence into what you're doing, and and you do in some areas put on a bit of a show. You need to do that, but highlighting on mental health, especially for us, is very important. It's something that I've experienced in my life a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's touched on Andy's life a lot as well.
Right.
And it's very important to talk about it, because I think when people come into the stream and they see people like me and Andy, who are just normal people, but to other people, they see us on the camera, look at them, they're talking to thousands of people, they must be all confident in this, that, the other, must have no troubles, It's important for those people to make it public, let people know. And we get a lot of good feedback about it in the chat, of people sort of being happy that we've spoken about it and things like that. And we actually did, with our other pilot, Mark, a Fear of Flying series, which has been extremely positively received. And we just filmed episode 3 of that.
Yeah, 3, I think, yeah.
3, which is out now. And the comments on that video is just incredible. People saying, I've flown for the first time.
Brilliant.
Or maybe I've flown for the first time in 20 years. And I
Isn't
like
that
some
fantastic?
of your content, just trying to highlight different things about what people might stress about. So it's important, I think. It is important.
So has Mark's course that you have collabed together to do that, has that helped you overcome this?
Not at the moment, I'll be honest. I think for me, though, I think the helicopter flight for me was a big first step, because it kind of... I used to fly a lot when I was younger. We were very fortunate with our family that sometimes we'd be lucky enough to go away twice a year, So we'd be going to like Schiaffos, Spain. We took a trip to America once around Christmas, and that was a big thing. But I got quite bad food poisoning in Egypt about 20 years ago, and it was disastrous. It was
Really?
not nice at all.
Really?
And ever since then, I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'll do the UK. So we do a lot.
Right.
So for me, I think there was, and I spoke about this in the video that we did, the helicopter flight. There was a part of me when that offer came through. How much of a good opportunity it is, but there is a small part of you that thinks, I hope this guy never knocked on and actually arranges this.
Okay.
And it did go quiet, didn't it, for a while? And then on a day where I was off, he actually did come and knock on and arranged it with Andy. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't involved at that point.
I kind of deliberately didn't ring you and go, I just don't want to do this.
He kind of knows quite a bit on how my brain works.
But isn't it great that you did it? And
I'm really glad I did it, yeah.
You've actually... you've knocked down the problem, or you've climbed higher over the top of it.
Definitely, and I think for me, I mean, if I couldn't imagine going in a helicopter, never mind. Like I could imagine potentially, getting on the plane, going somewhere. But yeah, I just didn't think I'd enjoy it. I really didn't. But it genuinely did kind of open up a new experience for us both, I think, because it was really good fun, wasn't it? And we originally... Joel was great, by the way. He spent quite a bit of time with me as we're doing, kind of talking through, what is it specifically that worries you, and is there anything we can do to mitigate that, and things like that. And he said, well, let's go to Manchester. We can be there and back in 20 minutes, and that will be great. And if we can achieve that, that'll be great. And I think we were in the air for well over an hour, weren't we?
Wow.
Really?
Really?
It was brilliant.
Clearly
really
packed a bit of extra fuel, didn't he, for that?
Yeah.
It was great, yeah.
I think it's, like seasickness. That must be absolutely horrific for people, because you're on that boat and you're feeling horrendous and you want to get off. Air sickness or a fear of flying must be horrendous. Because you are, as you say, you feel trapped. You're a prisoner in this plastic or aluminium tube. But a lot of the time, yours is maybe slightly more niche or esoteric.
I think
but
it is.
A lot of the time, it's either from a misconception or an experience, and the misconception is just that, because really the most dangerous part, if dangerous is the right word, is the journey to and from the airport. Statistically, flying still remains globally the safest form of transport, and I wouldn't get on an airplane if I thought it was in any way dodgy. And the people that are responsible for the flying are so trained, so regulated, so trained, so tested. It is, to many people, absurd. But it's there for a reason, and the proof is in the pudding. And we're back to the Peter Kay joke style thing here of why we don't want to have two pilots.
Exactly.
Because to have two well-trained bods up there looking after your safety makes it as rock solid as it possibly can be. And so there's no need to get on an aeroplane, because you don't see the cabin crew freaking out about what's going to happen. That crew wants to be as safe as you. Nobody gets on an aeroplane to think, oh, I want to have a bad day, I want to have lots of turbulence, I want to have the seatbelt sign on all the time. Of course they don't. So, you know, a lot of, I'm not saying everybody is curable, but a lot of it can be mitigated. And I would encourage folk to, if they have a fear of flying, to look at fear of flying courses, or look at your videos that you've done with Mark, because a lot of people do end up, some of the courses have flights at the end of the day, and they actually board the aircraft and go flying, and suddenly they come home almost like a bit of a miracle, don't they?
Well, that's it. And I think unfortunately in some instances for me it's a bit more nuanced in the fact that I love flying. I love aircraft. I would love nothing more than to be sat looking out the window for the whole flight. So the flying and the competence of the crew and the safety of the actual flying itself is not a factor for me whatsoever. I'm absolutely confident in all of that. I've got a fairly good understanding of the stages of flight from a few thousand hours flying simulators. So all that side of thing for me is fine. So I think for me it does come down to just chipping away, taking on these opportunities that come to us. And I think that's where, you know, quite like why we're sat here today, you know, when you have a channel like this, it does provide certain opportunities, and it's just about taking them and giving them a buzz. And I think that's why that helicopter flight, for me, especially this year, was probably, I think, one of the best things we've done on the channel, just because it's an opportunity that, you know, not everybody is going to get, like how you said about visiting parts of the world. I mean, that was one of the driving things, I think, for me to do that flight, was this is an opportunity that I know quite a few people in my chat would grab with both hands. And it's come to me to have a go, and I think it's only right that, you know, you give it a go.
Yeah, good on Joel for offering and doing it.
Absolutely.
And picking a day to arrange it when you weren't in the office.
Exactly, thank you very much. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get a link to his YouTube channel in the chat. He films his flights as well with various GoPros and stuff.
Jetbox TV, isn't it?
Jetbox TV. I have to check that out.
So, Pete, did you ever have like nervous flyers on your planes, and did you ever help them out a little bit?
Yes, it did. In fact, I would say probably there's only twice it's been to the point where they felt they'd feel better if they saw me. Nobody wants to see an agent like me coming down to them, because actually it starts to raise more eyebrows. What's he doing out here rather than in there? So a lot of the time the cabin crew were very good at pacifying them and reassuring them. Sometimes the cabin crew might sit with them for most of the flight, and that is great work that they do. But by and large, it was okay, and I didn't create fear of flyers that I'm aware of. That they got on okay and they got off absolutely hating it.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying in the chat, we need to do a show with Pete and Captain Mark as well.
That would be a great show, wouldn't it?
He is very similar in that he is very witty and quite silly as well.
Well, I'm up for anything that there's a bit of chat and a bit of humour in, and there's flying. Sure, what's not to like?
There is a few questions coming in about how is Matt. We have just had quite a big downpour, and the visibility's dropped very quickly as well. But it does seem to just be a passing shower, hopefully. But we did just
that was heavy.
We did just see Matt run down and grab some waterproofing a second ago. He's battling. He's battling.
You brought the Irish weather with you.
Yeah. Good man. Sorry, Matt. Yeah.
Lufthansa on the way out to Frankfurt. We do have the Indigo pinging up as well as the Hainan A330 out to Beijing. And next to land here on 23 right, coming down with a splash, will be the Emirates A380, which is following in a Ryanair from Dublin. So I'm sure we'll see that runway get a fair bit drier in the next couple of seconds. Make sure you smash that record button if you've got an SD card in there, Smithy, mate. This will be a nice arrival.
Some very big hair dryers about to
big
enter the
time,
runway.
yeah.
Do kick up a fair spray, don't they? The
A380. Yeah, but he's only got reverse on the inboards.
Correct.
Only, 2 and 3, yeah.
Yeah. You're finding 737s as well. Kick up loads of spray into the engines are so low.
Yeah.
If you do have any questions in the chat, guys, fire them in there. We are keeping an eye on that, and we'll pass your questions through.
Have you ever thought about, just going back, if I may ask, to your fear of flying, that you expand this, or is it something you might consider that Mark is clearly very good at this, and your course has got several episodes? Mark is a active pilot. Could you see yourselves organising a...
It's not something I've ever thought about, to be completely honest, but it's a good idea. It would be...
Because there's definitely...
Would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Some mileage in it, isn't
Absolutely, there is, yeah. No, that's not a bad idea at all, to be honest. I think being able to use the channel to the best of the ability would be great.
I mean, even if you get one person, that's a success, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we've seen from the comments on the YouTube videos, it's very impressive.
There it is.
Sam asking real quick, is the Guinness in Ireland better than England?
Of course. Look, let's be absolutely serious about this. There is only one place to drink Guinness. It's something that doesn't... It's like a fearful flyer. It doesn't travel well. So if you want the proper thing, and I'm just warning you now that when you do that, you won't drink the stuff you're given anywhere else. You'll think, oh my God, what have I been doing? You've invested in the wrong horse. Get over there and drink it.
Yeah.
And if you want two, tell them halfway through the first one to start pouring the second, because it takes about 20 minutes to do it properly.
There you go. You've heard it here first. Deep Blue, thanks for supporting us on Twitch as well. And Tom and Anne, thank you for the gifted membership earlier on. But next to land is the Emirates A380. We'll turn the mics up for this and let you enjoy this arrival.
Did you see the rain the other day in Dubai? It was absolutely horrendous. It's almost like the people brought the Dubai rain with them.
I didn't know. I didn't see it.
Really? Oh, blimey.
Go on, give us some commentary.
What's the wind doing at the moment? Where's the windsock? There it is. So here we go. We have 7 hours, and they're just coming down to do the really nifty... Oh, look, it's done. It's over. What was all the fuss about? Some major rudder inputs there. Look at that 3-piece huge rudder, and reversing inboard on numbers 2 and 3. And doing what Mr. Dyson does so well, but on an industrial scale. Drying that runway. Holy Moses. No need to take this airplane to a jet wash, because it's already been cleaned underneath. And whoever's going to take off after this will only need dry figures. Welcome to Manchester, everybody. It's not as dry as it was in the UAE.
Right, that's 10 out of 10. Look at that, one take.
I love how you can just
no messing about. Should have got you done a few more of them.
There you go, there's your next video done. Just copy paste that one on your channel. Easy.
That was great. Thank you very much. And welcome back. Emirates A380. There was a question in the chat earlier on, which probably ties in quite nicely to this. Was an aircraft that you'd wish you'd flown? I think I know the answer straight away, to be honest. But
yeah, it's quite a machine. I've visited the flight deck a couple of times on the ground and thought, holy Moses, look at this. I mean, it's quite extraordinary, really, and I think it would have been a great machine to fly. I would say that I would need to go off and quietly practice my crosswind landings before I'd be seen in public doing it, but because that's a hell of a slab side on there.
Yes.
You know, as amply demonstrated at Dusseldorf and Birmingham, when you see them, it's like that rudder it's like an elephant's ear, isn't it? It's massive. It's flapping around doing an enormous job. But the trick of it, of course, is not to get into a lateral and pilot-induced oscillation that you put in a bit too much one way, and then, of course, you then overcompensate the other, and that's when you get these huge deviations that we see. And unfortunately, the world being as it is now, everybody's got a camera, and they've generally got a lens as long as today and tomorrow, and they pick up every nut and rivet and swing of the aeroplane. Excuse me. But yeah, it's a hell of a machine. But it's just great that they're still flying, and I think Emirates is going to keep them going away into the 2030s.
I think so, and I think Emirates is the biggest driving force behind re-engineing the A380 as well.
It keeps coming up, doesn't it?
They do keep pushing for it.
I think it's all down to Wonga.
Potentially so.
But if there's a country in the world that's got enough bread to do it,
well,
you know, would think. But it's all in the deal.
And that's the thing, and obviously Emirates is the biggest operator, the 380 as well. It's really sort of ingrained into their airline and the way they operate. So obviously for them it's a big thing, but I think for Airbus potentially maybe they're looking for a bit wider than Emirates. Do you think to really give the project a good go, you want to be seeing a few airlines picking that up, really, don't you?
Thing is that previous operators who have kissed them off have now gone down another path, and I don't see them doing a UE on that path and coming back saying, you know, those 380s I had that have broke up, is there any chance of maybe we could do come up with a new arrangement? I think Emirates for sure would have another bash. Lufty, I thought they were gone, and they've brought them all out of the desert. Singapore's loving using them, but the first 2, 3, 4 have already been broken up at Tarbes. So I don't know. It would drive the price down, I guess. Mm-hmm. But to get involved in that is, I mean, that's just unspeakable money.
Don't worry, there's always global airlines we can rely on.
Yes, and then you woke up.
Yes. We were fortunate enough to see Global come through Manchester as well, which was very lucky for us considering they're planning the Gatwick base. They operated a couple of test flights, didn't they? And so we're glad to say that we've seen the aircraft liveried up and we've got some pictures of it.
Those could be collector's items very soon, out of rarity.
Yes.
They did reach out to us and
they invited us on the next flight.
Offered us a flight, and we're yet to see when that flight will be. We did ask, and we're waiting for an email, so we'll see. I mean,
patience is a virtue.
It is.
Yeah.
I was laughing with the stream the other day how you can see this massively technological piece of equipment, an Emirates A380, and then when you zoom into the window you see a little window wiper flapping away. Find that quite comical.
Well, some of the simplest solutions to things are the best, you know, and there it is. It's in full action right now.
Emirates just giving way to the Pegasus 320 Neil that's just arrived in, and Virgin Atlantic positioning in from Edinburgh. So a nice light A350 about to touch down.
So they should easily vacate in front of us here, shouldn't they?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
Very nice aircraft, these A350 1000s as well.
Beautiful.
Absolutely stunning.
Yeah. 350k, nice machine.
How did you find the Dreamliner? We've not really touched on that too much.
The big thing, my analogy about Boeing and Airbus is it's like Betamax and VHS. Mm-hmm. You know, one operator talks about auto throttle and another one talks about auto thrust, and there the twin will meet. As I know to the pain in my right hand, having been tapped a few times, touching the thrust levers rather than the throttles, talking about the auto throttle and the auto thrust. You have to trim a Boeing, you don't have to trim an Airbus. And after 17 years of auto trim, to then have to suddenly trim the damn thing. But old habits die hard. I could still put you on a bike and you could ride it even if you haven't been on it for a few years.
Yeah.
So you get back into the swing of it. My perfect aeroplane to make everything absolutely as easy as and as good as possible would be a Bow bus. I would take all the good bits out of the Boeing and out of the Airbus and amalgamate them. On the Boeing, you have to keep turning the heading selector, whereas on the Airbus you don't. There are all sorts of little quirky things between the two of them, and if you could take those out and just put the really good bits together, you'd have the perfect airplane. But they're very set in their ways. What you say in one, you do not do in the other, and vice versa. They used to say years ago, look at, here we are. Here's the 350K. Look at that. Down and stopping in no time at all. Still pretty wet runway there. It's flooded, isn't it? Look
we have had quite the downpour, haven't we?
Yeah, and it's even with that 380 doing a Dyson on it, it's not.
Yeah, you'll see
still
some.
Pretty wet. I don't think they're going to make that turn off. No, they missed it.
No.
We also have a jet that we've seen on the drive in, the Indigo, or as you said, the Norse.
Yeah.
It's a very strange situation, that. The aircraft,
Have you seen that, Martin?
It's nice. It's like you say, it is like a bit of a hybrid scheme, isn't it?
Well, I think it's Norse operating on a sub for them. It's a dry lease.
Okay.
So, sorry, it'll be a wet lease.
Yeah. Especially
Indigo have put their sticker on the side, and the rest is done by Norse.
It's good to see it actually materialising, because I think at Manchester here we've had a few sort of false starts on new airlines potentially coming through, and either it's been delayed or it's not quite happened. So it is good to see Indigo actually operating.
And they've announced they're going to do a triple into Heathrow as well.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So
making all the right moves then.
And Emirates putting a 350 into Gatwick, so they're going to go 12 times a day to London.
Impressive.
That's a lot of seats, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
A lot of seats.
I think they could fill more seats here at Manchester. There was speculation about doing a fourth Emirates service at Manchester as well with a 777.
Really?
But it's just like what the airport can handle, you know. I think because of all, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of works going on at Manchester Airport at the moment. I think T3 and T1 in the next year are going to close and are going to just completely redo them, because you might have seen they feel a bit dated, don't they?
We did pass comment they felt a bit tired.
Yes, yeah. It's a shame you're not flying out of T2. T2 is pretty good.
Like, is that the newest one?
Yeah, yeah. It's the most recent to have. It's a facelift.
Right.
And they've done a really good job, but T1, T3, they're like lost in the 80s, it feels.
Well, I'd said 80s to Oliver.
Yeah. I guess it's a nice timepiece. It's like frozen in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it needs it, you know. Because across Europe, you know, there's so many modern airports, isn't there? Like, I've been to Dublin before, and that's really nice and fresh. And Heathrow, of course, is gorgeous.
Apart from T3,
T3, yes, I've never.
It needs
T5
some.
Is all offline.
T3 needs some TLC if that's not bad.
Yeah.
Pros.
They've got their hands full at the moment. Those new
Do you see how high that jet's sitting with no fuel in it? It's incredibly high, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the undercarriage. It's not squashed down.
Oh, does that change? Does it then?
Yeah.
Fuel? I've never.
If you loaded up the back of your car, it will sit down further.
Yes, yeah, and there's a lot of fuel on that, isn't there?
Well, there's not much there to come down.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they'll handle completely differently as well, this empty, won't they?
Only in so much as its takeoff and landing performance. You know, the thing about it is the computers are. They say an Airbus is 600 computers with 2 wings on it, flying in close formation. It should always feel the same, but once it comes down into the last few feet, it's still in direct law. It's still a Cessna, you know. So that's
the thing, because it will just want to just keep flying on it at that point.
So you need to be careful.
Did you do many like repositioning flights for Virgin?
Not many, no. The one I do remember was taking one from Heathrow to Gatwick. Off the 27s to land on 08 at Gatwick. That was just the sort of a shape of an N. So you had briefed the takeoff and the departure and the arrival and the landing with all the performance figures already in before you had even got on the runway. I think there was some record, but I wasn't into that because that's when things can maybe not go so well, and then you'll be in the headmaster's office for a see me, you know, the no tea and no biscuits thing.
Yeah.
Something like 7 minutes, I think somebody did it in a jumbo. It was just crackers, but yeah, it's very swift.
Smithy, if you can hear me, just check your DMs there, mate, if you can. France heading out to Paris.
Very busy at Manchester today, though.
So Air France mainline don't do Paris, it's HOP?
Air France HOP operate a lot here at Manchester, yeah, but we do... It kind of varies in terms of the way the aircraft are liveried. They'll send the 220, which is just the Air France liveried aircraft, but yeah, it is operated by HOP.
Mm.
So one question I was going to ask Pete was, how did you get into these videos that you make? You know, was there a first time you kind of did this kind of commentary style video, or where did that come from?
When I not long after I met my wife, she said many moons ago, she said to me, and this is not made up in case anybody thinks I'm just pulling your leg, she actually said to me, you need to learn to speak less. Which I thought was a very endearing thing to say.
Right.
And that didn't go very well. And it kind of hit an apex last year where it was, you know, seriously, you're going to have to do something about this. Why don't you go on social media? Now, internet, tech, social media, don't understand it. It's all nonsense. Not interested. And then I was outside a Bell & Ross watch shop. And she said, I'm going to stand here with a phone and just stand there and start talking about that pilot's watch. So I stood there and blathered on about a pilot's watch. And I said, now, is that good enough for you? We're done, okay? And I said, nobody will be interested in seeing that. She put it up on the internet and said, there you go, there's a few people who watched it. I thought, oh, my God. I mean, why would anybody want to watch me doing that? Then we went into the luggage shop of the bags I used to use when I was at work and blathered on about the suitcases there. And people watched that. And I've kind of it sounds cheesy and really disingenuous, but in a way I have fallen into it, in so much as she has, with all the right thoughts, encouraged me to put into practice all the stuff I've blathered about that I would like to help people into flying. And, you know, I haven't won the lottery, so I can't give them a blank check, but that's how it has happened, and it's all kind of happened rather quickly.
Yeah, you're making really good progress. I mean, YouTube over 51,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Instagram 253,000.
Did we get one of them? You know, do you know about the plaques that you get from YouTube?
I've heard, but
did we get one of them soon?
Not a calm yourself down.
You will. And the day it comes, honestly, it's a fun day. Yeah, we're very, very fortunate.
We have the 1 million one as well, the gold one.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
and how quickly did you get that?
It came within a year of going full time, but I think it's a good few years on the channel. And I think it is important to point out that there is a lot of subscribers that come to our channel from our live streams.
Yes.
But a large majority of our subscribers have come from our short form content, which is similar to what you make. Yeah. And as you know, there's a lot of reach there. There's a lot of views, a lot of eyeballs on that sort of content. So we've had really good success with short form content, which has definitely driven us towards that million much quicker than potentially we may have anticipated.
I think that's fantastic. So do these take pride of place in Airliners Live HQ at Barton?
They do, yeah. They're on they're in our office on the wall. Very sadly, the gold one, the big one, it fell off the wall. So it's got a little dent in the bottom corner, which I'm very disappointed about. But YouTube are going to charge us for another one, so I said, I'll just keep the dent then. That's all right.
All right.
So never mind. It is how it is.
Does an angel come down from the sky, cleared by Manchester into Barton, to hand this to you?
DPD delivery, actually, I think is it's a delivery method.
Okay. That's quite inauspicious, then.
It is, but it's a privilege. It's a privilege, and it's
that it? Is there anything beyond gold?
There is. I think it's 10 million is the next.
Oh,
so we're just gonna accept that. That's probably.
Do you have to be like the fella who's got the 767 behind the revetment
quite possibly
to get one of them?
I think so. You either have to sing really well.
Right. Well, there's no danger of me getting one of them.
Yeah, me too. So we're happy with where the channel is.
That's fantastic.
And as we were discussing, there's a few things that we're working on behind the scenes to diversify as well, which I think is important. And like yourself, obviously you've kind of had the aviation. Now you're getting into the social media stuff. And in terms of flying altogether, do you do any sort of leisure flying, or
nope.
is that done now, the flying?
I'm done, and that's not through any bitterness, or that's just a personal decision. I'm very happy to park it and close the logbook where it was, and leave it with happy memories, and memories that I probably talk about too much because my wife will tell me you're starting to sound like one of those.
I mean,
old.
we enjoy it. I think it's when you've achieved something like that, and obviously you've had a wide array of sort of experiences as well with the RAF, and then with Virgin Atlantic. That is interesting, I think, for people to. And I mean, obviously, as the chat have said, people have really enjoyed.
I haven't
today.
had my specs on because that's
feel free to get some comments, guys.
Nosing into your
we'll
screen.
We'll have a look. If you want to get some messages in the chat, we're all eyes on the chat, as I think we are going to draw to a close very soon, folks. As you can see, the weather is deteriorating quite rapidly here at Manchester now, and
a bit damp.
But Matt Smith, of course, is going to be live for your usual Friday show tomorrow, the usual marathon show. I'm not sure if weather like this was forecast for today.
It had a prob 30 of some showers, but not like these are almost like CBs, aren't they? So
it is kind of come out of the blue. It has come out of the blue, but
what's my favourite livery? I do like the Singapore Airlines livery, and I'll tell you why that is. Simply because they've never changed it. I'm going to sound like an old curmudgeon now, but I find an awful lot of the modern liveries extremely boring. I think the aeroplanes come out of the shop white, and somebody says, what's the minimum number of stickers or decals I need to put on there to make it look like our company? And of course, I understand that you're maybe talking anything between 500 kilograms and a ton being added to the weight of the airplane. I get that, obviously, but in terms of what I like, I love something that the Singapore Airlines livery is iconic. Nobody has felt the need to change something that isn't broken. Everybody knows what it is. Absolutely super. The great shame is the ones that were really nice, like Cathay and the old BA liveries, and you get these, they're all a bit much of a muchness, and Aer
Lingus as well. That was a big downgrade for us.
I was trying not to say that, but the Aer Lingus latest livery is the one of the 80s and the 90s. I think was the best. I really loved it, but there you go. They've chosen to do that. I don't personally think it's great, but there you go.
Yeah,
I mean, you may not agree with this. I am curious. I think the little sort of sniper in the bushes here in the livery department, I very much like the Ryanair livery. I think they've kind of kept that quite constant, and it looks good across both the NG and the Max. I think especially on the Max, it's extremely photogenic, and again, it's just a recognisable livery.
Yes,
it's quite classic.
You see that harp anywhere, wouldn't you?
I think it's great. I really like it.
But why? There's a man who would be better than anybody else in telling you why waste of a euro on something that doesn't need to be changed.
Exactly.
You could say Brussels Airlines and ANA and JAL, to take but three, must pour a lot of money into the paint shop because they're forever putting up some pretty wacky designs.
Yeah, Brussels, especially with their latest competition for the the
icons.
The icons.
Yeah.
I mean,
down the back of the jet, it's like, what on earth is that?
There was one that we voted for that didn't quite make the cut that we thought would be quite funny. I'll let your imagination
okay.
Okay. But I'm sure that got quite a few votes, and maybe some of them went missing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, even with Ryanair though, talking about saving money, you'd think, why would Ryanair spend the money liverying up the planes and not just put Ryanair in small text?
Who said he was spending any money on it?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I know. I need a livery. I'm giving you work for your paint shop, so put that on. Who knows what there'll be a hard deal thought out there.
Yeah.
But I see both sides, of course I do. Marmite, isn't it? Love it, hate it.
I think that's the same with modern aviation as well. I think, sadly, especially from a plane spotting point of view, if we look back to a show when we first started, it was 330s, 747s, 777s, noise everywhere.
Yep.
And we're getting very quiet, and we're getting very sort of sophisticated now, modern jets. And do you reckon that's taking the shine out of aviation from a plane spotting perspective?
Well, I am totally with you. It's a bit... I can't say that I have the interest in Formula One that I used to have years ago, but I like the sound and racing. Now we've got far too many rules. We've got engines that have to have false noise put into them because they're all been tinkered around with. These are almost races that are won, ironically, with Irish logic when the car is stood still.
Yeah.
Who is the best in the pit lane? Who's going to be the fastest to get that thing turned around the way again? There's no overtaking anymore. There's no racing.
Get the V12s back in.
Let's have noise. Let's have smell. Kerosene. That's what people want. The roar of a jet. I mean, when I stood in the car park when it hadn't been very long at Virgin, and Concorde, it is the... I digress slightly here. I managed to do a takeoff from 09 left. You never normally do that. Right, I did one, and it was after the BA crash that night to go to Delhi. We had to use 9 left, and the only way to do it, to make the noise the least, was do a max power takeoff. Now that sounds ridiculous, to get the height on, to get away from the houses. But Concorde, if we were on Easterleys at Heathrow, would always go in 9 right because it couldn't crack the turn round for a Compton departure. And I just got out the car, and I heard this airplane coming. I thought, oh, somebody must be going around. Oh, that up there was barreling across the top with 4 carrots sticking out the back, and every car alarm going off, and I got Tourette's at that. That was just like, whoa. Now we're talking. That's aviation.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's a part of aviation that we sadly came to too late to see flying, and it's a shame. It really is a shame. But I mean, even we've said it before on the shows. Taking things, taking things for what's the word?
Granted.
For granted, yeah. When you're taking things for granted, like we had all the Virgin Atlantic 74s going out.
Yeah.
We had Thomas Cook flying decent jets everywhere.
Yeah.
Monarch.
Yeah.
And just over the last few years, it's
a little bit Manila.
It's calmed down a lot,
yes.
And you look back at old shows, and there's me on the microphone going on. Here comes the next 747. Now, if there's a 747 coming to Manchester, we do a bonus show just to film that, because it's such a rare movement for us.
And that's what I was touching on with the Korean 747-8 at Heathrow. People are saying here is the exception, here's the big event, rather than what used to be just 10 a penny.
I remember there's a clip of a 747 going out of the airport pub, and you and Charlie were doing a show, and I went to upload it to social media, as like a throwback post, and I had to edit out you and Charlie talking because you were talking to Jen in the chat. Because she was in the shop at the time trying to buy a bottle of wine, and you were telling her what type of bottle of wine.
It just didn't matter.
Yeah.
We just saw
it's only a jumbo. Come and pass them in.
Get a bottle of rosé.
Now, if we would be dead silent, the mics would be turned up, and that's the thing. You just got to make the most of what you got. And I think we kind of look for positives where we can. And there's some beautiful looking modern jets coming out, especially the 350.
Excuse me, what's that there?
So this is the private Ether terminal. So that's a terminal that you can book. It's very much like a lounge, but they will take you either to the gate or to the aircraft when you're ready to depart. and they do security last. So say, for example, you're fortunate enough, I don't know, you're going on a honeymoon, you can bring family to the terminal. They've got a chef that makes all food for you. They can spend time with you in the terminal, and then when it's ready for you to leave, right, I've got to go through security now. Your family goes, you go through security by yourself, and then they drive you in one of those nice BMWs.
And you can do that even for a Ryanair flight. You know, there's no limit.
You can do it for any flight you want.
Yeah.
So if you're on the Ryanair to Ibiza, turn up in your Hawaiian shirt and your shorts and go through the Heathrow terminal.
Wow.
So
and is it popular? Lots of people do?
I believe so,
it
It's
really
fully booked.
We get to see the cars going in and out all the time, you know, and you have got a fleet of them, you know.
We were
what
very
you need
fortunate
to do
be
is
shown
to get
around
Joel
there
to land his copter outside that, and then you could get driven over here in one
That'd be
of those
lovely,
Beamers,
wouldn't it?
Yes, that would be good.
Yeah, those BMWs are very, very nice. One of the funny things is, though, they do have a massive TV in the back, which you can choose what you watch. But we did wonder
Airliners Live.
Yes.
But how much of the show would you get to see between here and the gate? Probably 5 minutes.
It's a 5-minute drive, if that.
But
I think you want to wrap soon as well.
I think we do. It's,
I don't think this is going anytime soon.
This rain is jumping in. So, chat, I'm sure you've all enjoyed it as much as we have. Pete, thank you very much for reaching out.
It's my pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, chaps, for inviting me. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that's put up with my blether.
It's been a very, very good show, and I think shows like this as well, where there's just a conversation that flows very easily, very naturally. It makes for a really good show. A few people saying we should upload the audio for this as just a podcast somewhere as well, which is great.
It was like a bit of a podcast, this, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we'll make sure you guys get a copy of the footage as well. As with anything, feel free to use as much of our content as you wish.
Thank you.
We love seeing it, and chat. We'll share the links in the chat as well.
All right.
Pete's social
Thank
media
you, everybody.
Yeah, big shout out to Matt as well.
Yes.
Braving the weather today.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Well done. And
sorry I've stolen your audio channel.
You're more than welcome. Don't worry. It's been great. It's been awesome, and we'll definitely have to get you on again, mate.
Oh well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Chat. There you go.
Everyone go follow Pete as well on various social medias.
Yes, the links are in there.
Oh well, thank you very much. Thank you to all the people that do support me now, and any of you that come along and join in the carry on my channel. You'd be very welcome. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching a bonus show. We are live again tomorrow on Friday for Mr. Matt Cam's regular show, and then we're back to normal on Sunday as well. But from all of us here at Manchester Airport, thank you very much for watching. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.